Chapter 35-27. Oh. Tang Yun was happy to hear that Lin Yi might be looking for her, but she was disappointed to change rooms. She knew that she hadn't broken through to Sky full cycle yet, so she had to keep a distance from Lin Yi. Otherwise, the heartless art wouldn't be effective. After taking Shueli's keys, Tang Yun went to the room next door. Shueli took a shower and went to bed early in the morning. Lin Yi also had his own room. After taking a shower, Lin Yi couldn't focus on cultivation. To be honest, Lin Yi's strength was already at the top of the heavenly Tao. It didn't matter if he cultivated or not. As a result, he couldn't help but think of Tang Yin when he had nothing else to do. Ever since he returned to West Star Village, he hadn't been close to Tang Yun. Although he had forgotten about Tang Yun at that time, now that he thought about it, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel that he hadn't seen Tang Yun for a long time. If it wasn't for Sydney's presence during the day, Lin Yi would have gone to talk to Tang Yun alone. But with Sydney watching from the side, Lin Yi couldn't do anything. But tonight, everyone slept in separate rooms. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment and tiptoed out of the room. If it was someone else, Lin Yi might have some scruples. But Tang Yun was his first real girlfriend. When they were together, their relationship was already very good. Even if they didn't sleep together, it was close. If it wasn't for the incident in Snow Valley, Lin Yi and Tang Yun would have been living together. So, Lin Yi didn't feel any pressure sneaking into Tang Yun's room at night. Not to mention in a small hotel like this. It was an ordinary door with a key. It was an electronic door. With the skills he'd learned from his master, it was a piece of cake for him to open the door. Lin Yi remembered Tang Yun's room number, so he quietly opened the door, closed it, and sneaked into the room. Tang Yun should have fallen asleep already. Her back was facing Lin Yi's direction. Lin Yi didn't wake her up. Instead, he took off his pajamas and jumped onto the bed. Although Lin Yi didn't plan on doing anything, he saw Tang Yun's exposed shoulder. It was obvious that she had gone to bed without wearing her pajamas after taking a shower. After getting on the bed, Lin Yi directly picked up Tang Yun from behind. However, Lin Yi was startled by the softness of her body. Although Lin Yi hadn't touched it before, he could tell that Tang Yun wasn't that big. Otherwise, she wouldn't have lost so many battles with Yushu because of this, and now Tang Yun's size was so much bigger. Even if it wasn't as big as Yushu's, it was still much bigger than before. This surprised Lin Yi. Could it be that training had the effect of breast enlargement? Sydney was also mentally and physically exhausted these few days. Tang Yun didn't break through to Sky full cycle. She didn't feel good either. This was an important matter for the Snow Valley. She had to worry about it every day. So after taking a shower, she laid on the comfortable bed. She fell asleep in a daze. After sleeping for a while, she suddenly felt like someone was on her bed. This surprised Sydney. She was a Sky full cycle master. Unless the other party was also a Sky full cycle master, they wouldn't be able to hide from her eyes. Just as she was about to confirm if someone was really here, she felt her chest being wrapped by a large hand. This shocked Sydney, and she immediately woke up. She shouted from the bed, "Pervert! Give me your life!" Lin Yi was also shocked. He jumped up from the bed. This wasn't Tang Yun's voice. Wasn't this Sydney's voice? Where was Tang Yun? Wasn't this Tang Yun's room? Click. Sydney turned on the bedside lamp. Just as she was about to make a move, she saw that the person standing in front of her was Lin Yi. Moreover, Lin Yi was naked. This stunned Sydney. She quickly covered her eyes with her hands and said angrily, "Lin Yi, you're shameless." If it was someone else, Sydney would have killed them already. But the person in front of her was Lin Yi. She knew that she wasn't Lin Yi's opponent, so she only glared at Lin Yi and didn't make a move. However, when she covered her eyes, she suddenly realized that she wasn't wearing anything. As a result, when she turned on the light, wasn't she completely exposed? Sydney put down her hands and wanted to cover her body. But the more she thought about it, the more wronged she felt. Although she was almost 30 this year, she still had the temperament of a young girl. After all, she lived in an ancient sect and didn't come into contact with the outside world. The only thing she knew about the outside world was from some books. So, she was seen by Lin Yi and even touched. She felt wronged. Why was she so unlucky? Sydney sat on the bed and hugged her legs. She curled into a ball and started crying. This time, it made Lin Yi a little helpless. He didn't know that the person in the room was Sydney. If he knew, he wouldn't be so presumptuous. But now that there was a problem, Linny had no choice. He thought that Sydney would beat him up, and Linny had the attitude of not fighting back. After all, Linny had the art of dragon mastery to heal him. No matter how heavy it was, it wouldn't matter. But now, Sydney didn't hit or scold him. Instead, she cried. Linny really didn't know how to deal with it. He could only bite the bullet and say, "Sydney, I'm sorry. This is a misunderstanding. I thought that the person in the room was Tang Yun." Sydney ignored Linny and continued to cry. Linny sighed helplessly. He sat on the side and looked at Sydney quietly. Linny didn't know how old Sydney was. Why did she look like a child? Just from her appearance, Sydney should be in her early 20s. She should have broken through to heaven's stage when she was in her 20s. After that, her appearance stayed forever. So, she could be in her 20s, 80s, or even 100. Linny waited for Sydney's crying to quiet down before continuing. "Sydney, don't cry. We are all adults and top masters. You shouldn't care too much about this. Our goal is to go to Heaven Stage Island. Do you know that men and women shouldn't touch each other?" Sydney raised her head and stared at Linny. "Tell me, what should I do?" I'll go back now and pretend that nothing happened. Is that okay?" Linny asked. In fact, if it was a normal modern woman, she would probably agree to what Linny said. After all, they didn't really lose anything. Chapter 35-28. Treat? How can you do that? You have seen it, hugged it, and touched it. You want me to let it go? Sydney glared at Linny while gritting her teeth. How can there be such a good thing in this world? Then what do you want? Linny smiled bitterly. You don't want to take responsibility? Sydney glared at Linny fiercely. You want me to take responsibility just like that? Linny pointed at himself in astonishment. You have so many wives. Am I the only one left? Sydney was furious. What do you mean? It's not that I'm not the only one left. Sydney's words really made Linny speechless. What kind of logic was Sydney using? What he meant was that he didn't have any emotional foundation with her. Why did he accept her inexplicably? What was going on? Sydney, calm down. This is unfair to you. Linny quickly explained. It's unfair if you don't take responsibility, Sydney said. A woman is treated like this by a man. Can I still be good with others? If you don't take responsibility, I can only live alone for the rest of my life. Why are you so wicked? Wicked? Linny really didn't know what to say. Sydney's logic? Wait. Linny suddenly thought of Rock Candy. From Rock Candy's point of view, if Linny hugged her, she was considered one of them. And Sydney was also a girl who grew up in an ancient sect. Perhaps their thoughts were also influenced by the ancient times. They cared about these things very much. That's why she said that. As a result, Linny had some headaches. Tang Yun's matter hadn't been solved yet. Now there was another Sydney. Well, one more then. Linny could only nod. But I still don't understand anything. I still don't know anything. Since we're together, you should at least tell me about yourself, right? You agreed? That's good. Sydney smiled through her tears. I'll tell you about my story, and you should tell me about yours. From Sydney's point of view, wasn't blind dates like this in the past? Everyone was well-matched in terms of social status. Then, they talked about each other's situations and got together. That was it. Fine. Linny felt like it was a trap. If it wasn't for the surprise, he wouldn't have to do this. Fortunately, Sydney looked like she was only in her early 20s, and her personality was like a little girl's. Otherwise, being with a woman who was older than her would be extremely stressful. But now, it seemed that Sydney, no matter in terms of psychology or anything else, was not. They were both little girls. There was no difference. That's right. How did you come in? Why didn't I know anything about it? I purposely locked the door before I went to bed. Sydney looked at Linny suspiciously. Don't tell me you colluded with Tang Yun and she gave you the key? Sydney really didn't understand. Logically speaking, she locked the door. Even if Linny was a Heaven Stage full-cycle master. Even if he didn't have the key, he still had to break the door, right? Even if he was a Heaven Dao master, could he break the door quietly? If there was any movement before, then Sydney wouldn't still be asleep. She would have gotten up immediately to deal with it, and Linny wouldn't have succeeded. Moreover, from Sydney's point of view, no matter how daring Linny was, he wouldn't dare to break the door in a public inn, right? So, Sydney went to sleep without any precaution. After taking a shower, she was too lazy to put on her clothes because she subconsciously thought that even if Linny wanted to come, he would definitely knock on the door. How would she know that something like this would happen? According to normal thinking, it was true, but Sydney neglected that Linny had the ultimate skill of picking locks. From her point of view, it was completely impossible and unnecessary for a Heaven Stage full-cycle master to learn how to pick locks. No, before I became a practitioner, I was a great thief. I'm a godly thief. Linny said. Pfft, really? Sydney widened her eyes in disbelief. How old are you this year? How could you be a great thief in the past? When did you start cultivating? I was still a golden stage master a year ago. Do you believe me? Linny smiled bitterly and said, I already said to introduce each other. I don't need to lie to you about this. You leveled up really fast? Sydney looked at Linny and sighed. Hey, I'm almost 30 years old. You won't dislike me, right? You look like you're even younger than Tang Yun. Linny didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Look at you now. I don't look 30 years old no matter how I look. Don't fool me. Hee. Sydney couldn't help but laugh. Then you can pretend I'm 18. 18 is big. You're 16 at most. Linny knew that there was no turning back. Sydney's thinking was very conservative, so he could only comfort her first. However, today's matter was really a blunder. If Linny didn't hide his strength or made some noise, then Sydney would definitely find out and it wouldn't be like this. But Linny became like this because he didn't want Tang Yun to find out. Sydney told Linny about her own matters, but Sydney's life was very boring, almost the same as rock candies. She grew up in Snow Valley and didn't come into contact with anything. Because of her practice, no one came to propose to her. Sydney also didn't think that she would be able to be with a man in the future. Huh? That's not right. Aren't you also practicing the Heartless chant? Why do I feel like you're so easily moved? I touched you, and you want me to take responsibility? Linny suddenly asked. I didn't drink the forgetfulness, and I've never liked anyone before. I want you to take responsibility because it's written in the book, Sydney said. I feel like there's something wrong with the Heartless chant that your grandmaster created. If it was really heartless, then she wouldn't be interested in men. But now, it's just on the surface, but inside, she has feelings, Linny said. Don't you dare slander Grandmaster Snow, Sydney said. It's not slander, but didn't your Grandmaster Snow end up with Zhang Liju? Did her heartless chant lose its effect? Linny was familiar with Sydney, so he could say this. Don't say that. How is that possible? Grandmaster Snow went to pursue the heavenly Tao. How could she be with Zhang Liju? Sydney didn't believe Linny's words. When this is over, I'll take you to a place. Linny thought about it. Only by bringing Sydney to the tomb would she believe that their Grandmaster Snow was really living with Zhang Liju, and that they were sharing the same husband. Chapter 35-29. She now saw Lin Yi as the closest person to her. Naturally, some of the thoughts she hadn't dared to voice before were spoken out now. Although it was a little disrespectful to the Snow ancestor, it was indeed what she had been thinking. Rest well, we still have a long journey tomorrow. I'll go back now, Linny said. Ah, you're leaving already? Sydney paused. Aren't you going to do something? Do what? Linny asked. The books say that on the wedding night, shouldn't we do something? Sydney said shyly. We'll talk about it when we get back from Skyclass Island. Linny hesitated. In fact, if they were to talk about being together, Lin Yi's ideal partner was Yuning, Chu Mingyao, Yushu, or Tang Yun. After all, these were the first people Linny was familiar with, but with Sydney, he didn't have any feelings at all. Although feelings could be cultivated, they hadn't been cultivated yet, right? Plus, if the first time was with someone other than these four, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to accept it. Taking a step back, it should be Yang Qiqi or Wang Xinyan. Okay. Sydney let out a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was a little scared. Although the book said that when two people got married, they would sleep together and do that kind of thing, The ancient sects didn't care about those complicated marriage rules. The people of the Jianghu were all simple. Linny put on his clothes and left Sydney's room. He took a deep breath and looked at the room that belonged to Sydney but was now Tang Yun's room. He couldn't help but sigh. He wasn't in the mood to go there anymore. Back in his room, He couldn't fall asleep for a long time. He thought about the things that happened in the past year and was filled with emotions, all the way until dawn. The next morning, everyone left the hotel after breakfast. Sydney's attitude towards Linny had clearly changed. There wasn't the vigilance and hatred in her eyes anymore. There was a hint of tenderness in her voice, which confused Tang Yun. Could it be that Sydney wasn't against her and Lin? Sister Shui, why do you keep looking at Lin? Tang Yun asked Sydney. Lin was driving a bus from the Heavenly Elixir sect, which was provided by Tian Chan. Everyone could sit in it, and Tang Yun sat with Sydney. Tang Yun noticed that Sydney would inadvertently look up at Lin, who was driving in the front. Sydney didn't think that her little action would be noticed by Tang Yun. She blushed shyly. She wasn't good at lying, and she didn't want to lie to Tang Yun. Yesterday, Linny came to my room to find me. Tang Yun was shocked. She thought that Linny and Sydney had some conflict. She quickly asked, Sister Shui, then you and Linny, you guys, we slept together. Sydney was embarrassed as she looked at Tang Yun, who was stunned. Sister Shui, what did you say? Tang Yun didn't understand. I'm sorry, it's my fault. After the shower, I fell asleep. I didn't wear any clothes. How would I know that Linny used to be a bandit? He opened the door. He thought I was you. Actually, it's not his fault, Sydney said helplessly. Tang Yun finally understood what was going on. This was a huge mess. It was a big mistake. However, Tang Yun didn't blame Sydney or Lin. Yesterday, Linny went to the room. This meant that Linny was thinking about her, Tang Yun, and bumping into Shui could only be considered a freak accident. Before, Sydney changed the room to guard against Lin, but she didn't know that Linny didn't follow the rules. He opened the door and went to the bed. So it wasn't Sydney's fault. On the other hand, Tang Yun didn't want to look into the relationship between Lin and Sydney. It seemed that Linny already had a lot of women around him. She couldn't stop them even if she wanted to. During this period of time in the ancient sect, the ancient books she read instilled in her the ideas of ancient women. So she didn't have much resistance towards Linny having multiple wives and concubines. Besides, Sydney was a friend she got along well with. Although Sydney was guarded against Lin before, it was for the sake of Shuegu. But now that Sydney and Lin had such a relationship, Tang Yun felt that there wouldn't be any obstacles between her and Lin. You? Why don't you scold me? Actually, it's not like I'm being forced into this. I just think that Lin is actually quite a nice person. There's something indescribably attractive about him. Forget it. In Shuegu, you and I are like sisters. This is nothing. You and I are no longer women in the secular world. My thinking has changed a lot. As long as we get along, it's fine. Tang Yun shook her head. Previously, when they were in the secular world, she was competitive and wanted to be Lin Yi's first wife. But now that she thought about it, it was just a title. Perhaps it was because Heartless Arts changed Tang Yun's personality. Sydney didn't think that Tang Yun would let this matter go so easily. It surprised her. But looking at Tang Yun's sincere expression, it didn't seem fake. Sydney finally let out a sigh of relief. From her point of view, the biggest obstacle to being with Lin was Tang Yun. If Tang Yun didn't have any problems, then there wouldn't be any problems. Sydney didn't care about other people's thoughts. Because there was nothing on her mind, Sydney became more cheerful. She chatted with Tang Yun along the way. Tang Yun then realized that Sydney was quite a talkative person. Oh, Yao sis, I told you. That Sydney in Shuegu isn't a good person. She's a vixen. She seduced Shield Bro. The older she gets, the more shameless she is. She's an old cow eating young grass. Yu Shu said to Meng Yao. All right, Shu. Yun didn't say anything. You don't have to be stubborn. Meng Yao patted Yu Shu's little hand and said, Besides, Shueli still looks very young, about the same age as us. Sky Class Masters don't care about age anymore. The future of training will be extremely long. Some people even forget how old they are. Yu Shu's eyes lit up. All right, Yao Yao sis, you are the first wife. You should exercise your power as the first wife. Yushu encouraged. Yunyun's sacrifice is bigger than mine. Meng Yao said. Then let's be equal. Yushu didn't want Meng Yao to fall behind others. Tang Yun couldn't either. Although their relationship was good, it wasn't as good as Meng Yao's. Haha, sure. Meng Yao felt that it was a good idea, and it wouldn't hurt their relationship. What if other people compete? Yushu said worriedly. Chapter 35-30. HM? Yao Yao, when did you become so good-tempered? Yushu didn't understand. The night is peaceful, and the dark phoenix arts I practice has a calming effect. I finally understand why my mom is so good-tempered. Meng Yao smiled. But why is that old woman Elder Dark Knight so hot-tempered? Yushu said. Her arts are related to the Dark Phoenix, but it's not the same. Only people with the Dark Phoenix attribute can practice it. Meng Yao said. Oh, okay. Yushu was still hot-tempered. She was a fire practitioner after all. They were all Sky Class Masters, and unless they didn't purposely eavesdrop, it was easy for others to hear what they were talking about. Sydney didn't know that Yushu had heard what she said, but it wouldn't take long for the others to know. As expected, Yushu went to chat with Xiao Xiao after telling Meng Yao, and Bing Tang found out as well. Xinyan and Han Jingjing, who were sitting at the back, found out as well, and so on. When they got out of the car, everyone looked at Shueli strangely. This made Shueli a little puzzled. What's wrong with everyone? What are you looking at? Sydney finally got pissed off by Bing Tang's stare. She glared at her, displeased. Bing Tang, what are you doing? It's nothing, Sydney Lil Sis. Bing Tang giggled. I'm older than you. Why are you calling me Lil Sis? Sydney blinked. You know what I mean. Bing Tang giggled. I know? Shueli was stunned. She suddenly thought of something. What do you mean? You're the youngest here from now onwards. You need to know the rules. Bing Tang let out a breath of relief. The Ice Palace and Snow Valley had always been competitors, and there were wins and losses. But from now onwards, Sydney would always be younger than Bing Tang. You all know about it? Shueli was so surprised that her face turned red all of a sudden. From her face to her neck, if you don't want others to know, don't do it. Rock Candy laughed. Crystal Candy's words made all the girls laugh, especially Xiao Xiao and Yushu. They were rocking back and forth with laughter. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. How did they all know? How did the news spread? If I can't say it, Sydney should be too embarrassed to say it, right? This was really, however, everyone was still joking. Suddenly, two black figures appeared in front of the crowd and the bus. One of the black figures glanced at the crowd and shouted arrogantly, "Where did this bunch of idiots come from? Hurry up and get lost. Is this a place where you can come? This is private property. You have 1 minute to leave. If you continue to play here, don't go back." This was the territory of Tai Yi sect. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the mountain gate. He was waiting for someone to come out so that Lin Yi wouldn't have to barge in and search aimlessly. Therefore, the man in black came. Lin Yi didn't stop him. Two patrolling disciples were merely Earth class early phase. Lin Yi didn't put them in his eyes. This is Tai Yi sect? Lin Yi looked at the two indifferently and asked, That's right. Where are you guys from? Are you also a practitioner? The black figure was a little surprised. He didn't think that Lin Yi would say the words Tai Yi sect. Lin Yi was obviously someone who knew about Tai Yi sect. Even the villages nearby didn't know the name of Tai Yi sect. They only knew that there was a very powerful sect here. My name is Lin Yi. Tell the people here to come out and see me. Lin Yi didn't want to waste time with him and said directly, Lin Yi? Never heard of you. Who do you think you are? The leading black figure said impatiently, Senior Brother Su, isn't this Lin Yi the very powerful person that those people from the Special Investigation Bureau mentioned before? The other black figure suddenly thought of something and said to Senior Brother Su, Oh, so it's the Special Investigation Bureau looking for revenge. Looks like you guys are itching for a beating again. Senior Brother Su sneered. But before he could finish, he was sent flying by a slap from Lin Yi. He fell on the ground not far away, twitched twice, and stopped moving. Obviously, he was dead. How powerful was a Heaven-class full-circle master? One move was all it took to kill an Earth-class early-phase master. This person chattered nonstop. Lin Yi didn't want to listen to him and directly killed him. He said to the other black figure, "Tell your supervisor to come out and see me." Yes, yes, yes. The black figure was dumbfounded. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be so much stronger than Lingshan and Tianlong. No matter how strong those two were, they couldn't kill an Earth-class early phase with one slap. But Lin Yi killed senior brother Su so casually. He was so scared that he quickly turned around and ran back to the mountain gate. The girls were all heaven-rank Great Perfection Realm experts and knew the cruelty of the cultivation world. It was either you die or I live, so they didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy for senior brother Su. This sect was already on the verge of collapse. If the upper beam was crooked, the lower beam would be crooked. The entire sect was filled with a group of arrogant and despotic people. Every time they opened their mouth, they would talk about exterminating the sect. The one on duty today was Elder Tai Yi's second disciple, the second senior brother of these disciples. He got the report from this Black Shadow King and was furious. It was Lingshan and Tianlong's helper, Lin Yi. Last time, the one who escaped from the Iron Cloak sect was only an outer disciple, but with the Iron Cloak sect's domineering way of doing things, it didn't matter if he was an inner or outer disciple. As long as it was someone from the Iron Cloak sect, they would always be on the opposing side. That was why Tianlong and Lingshan were heavily injured without even asking for a reason. But what the second senior brother didn't expect was that this Lin Yi actually had some skills. But that was nothing. No matter how strong he was, could he be stronger than old Zhu? He was the proud disciple of the Iron Cloak Grandmaster, a heaven-class late-phase peak. Although he didn't break through as early as the big senior brother and third junior brother, he was still one of the top masters in the sect. Bring me there. Whoever dares to be arrogant here, I, old Zhu, will slap him to death. The second senior brother said arrogantly to Wang. Junior brother Wang heaved a sigh of relief. Although he didn't see Lin Yi's strength clearly, he seemed to be at the early phase of heaven class when he attacked. Hence, he was very relieved. With second senior brother taking action, Lin Yi will be captured easily. Did that Lin Yi come alone? The second senior brother was arrogant, but he wasn't an idiot. He had to ask. Chapter 35-31. Oh, then it's nothing. In his mind, women were not good enough, and the masters were all men. In fact, the Iron Cloak sect was just like that, with more men than women. Second brother walked out of the sect with Wang Shidi arrogantly. He looked at Lin Yi and the woman behind him, and his eyes lit up, revealing a mesmerizing look. Hey, Lin Yi, kill yourself. I'll leave your body intact. You're women. Leave me. I'll do it for you. Lin Yi looked at the fat guy in front of him, stunned. He was just a sky-class late-phase peak master. Where did he get his courage from? He even asked him to kill himself? Forget it. I won't do it. Rock candy, Sydney. You guys practice with Yun Yun. Lin Yi really had no interest in killing this guy. It was just one move. Okay. Sugar and Snow Pear nodded. Although the two of them had conflicts usually, they were both Lin Yi's women at this moment. Tang Yun was also one of them. They had to work together against the outsiders. Because they were both water-type practitioners, they were more suitable to support Tang Yun. Xiaoning, Xiao Xiao. You guys protect Yun Yun too? Lin Yi looked at Yuning and Xiao Xiao. After all, Tang Yun didn't have enough battle experience. It wouldn't be good if she fell into this guy's trap. Suddenly, Rock Candy, Shueli, Xiaoning, and Xiao Xiao surrounded Tang Yun, while Tang Yun locked onto her second senior brother. At first, second brother didn't think much of it, but when he saw Tang Yun's sky-class late-phase peak strength, he was dumbfounded. Why was this woman so strong? However, he wasn't too afraid, since she was just a woman, and he was a famous master. As for Lin Yi, he completely ignored him. To him, Lin Yi was just a normal sky-class master. At most, he was at the early phase. Otherwise, why didn't Lin Yi attack, but let the woman behind him do it? That wasn't manly at all. Hence, from his perspective, Tang Yun was the most powerful person here. However, Wang Shidi felt that the situation wasn't looking good. This second brother and Tang Yun's strength were on par, so the chance of winning was only 50-50. If Linny were to secretly cause trouble, then the chance of winning wouldn't be high. Thinking of this, he quickly turned around and ran back. He wanted to report to eldest senior brother, third senior brother, and the Iron Cloak martial ancestor so that they could send reinforcements. After running a few steps, he heard second senior brother scream from behind. Ah! Junior brother Wong was shocked and quickened his pace. Was second senior brother about to die? I'm afraid so. However, that person's strength was on par with second senior brother's, yet he was able to kill second senior brother? Tai Yi sect, where old ancestor Tai Yi cultivated. At this moment, his eldest and third disciples were present. Patriarch Ironclad was explaining some cultivation matters to them. Junior brother Wong stumbled in and came in front of the three of them. Junior brother Wong, what are you doing? Didn't you hear Master explaining the principles of cultivation to us? Eldest senior brother glared at junior brother Wong. How can you be so careless? Not good. Master, last time we beat up Ling Shan and Feng Tianlong, that Linny they were talking about is here. Second senior brother was killed by Lin Yi. Junior brother Wong said breathlessly. What? Killed? Old ancestor Tai Yi was flabbergasted. What happened? What level is that, Lin Yi? Your second senior brother is a sky-class late-phase peak. How can he be killed just like that? Even if he's not dead, it's still not enough. Master, please send people to help. Junior brother Wong said, they have sky-class late-phase peak. There's also a sky-class late-phase peak. Oh, I see, but he won't die so soon. Even if there's a difference between the two, it won't be too big. Even if he's about to reach full cycle, there won't be much of a difference before he breaks through. How about this, third brother? You go and take care of Lin Yi. Tai Yi nodded and said to third senior brother, you're a full cycle. It'll be easy for you to take care of him. Yes, master. Third senior brother nodded, picked up his heaven-rank divine weapon and followed junior brother Wong. Wait for me, old Shah, to kill him. With that said, third senior brother revealed his peak late-stage, heaven-stage peak strength. However, when Wong junior brother and third senior brother arrived at the entrance, they realized that their second senior brother Zhu was already dead, lying on the ground, not breathing. At first, third senior brother wanted to show off and talk big, but he couldn't do that now. He raged. Who did this? Tang Yun didn't expect the opponent to be this weak. Her sky full of fog, the 19th form, killed him. This wasn't accumulating battle experience. It was a one-sided slaughter. Of course, this was also because the Tai Yi sect was too arrogant and thought they were strong, but they had even less battle experience than Tang Yun. Plus, Bing Tang, Shueli, Xiao Xiao, and Yuning were all protecting Tang Yun, and the four of them revealed their full strength. Just the pressure alone was enough to make him gasp for air. And so when Tang Yun attacked, he didn't even have the courage to fight back before dying. He was really too weak. Tang Yun's weak voice sounded. I didn't expect him to die after just one hit. Humph, then pay with your life. Third senior apprentice brother said and immediately revealed the power of a peak late-stage heaven rank expert. Do you think that a peak late-stage heaven rank expert is very powerful? Don't you know that there's a sky-class late-phase peak in this world? Humph, I'll show you what it means to be stronger than you. Yun, step down, you're not his match. Lin Yi glanced at third senior brother's strength and said faintly. But as he spoke, he also revealed his sky-class late-phase, peak full-circle strength. This made third senior brother pause. Why was there a sky-class late-phase peak here? On the side, junior brother Wong was also startled. Not good. The other side is a peak late-stage heaven rank expert and a great circle heaven rank expert. If these two people attack together, then third senior brother will definitely suffer. Thinking up to this point, junior brother Wong turned around and ran again to report the news. Lin Yi, naturally, saw Wong junior brother going back and forth, but he didn't care. How could he draw the Tai Yi sect's masters out if he didn't leave someone behind to report? It would be too troublesome to find them one by one. Chapter 35-32. Junior brother Wong once again stumbled into Iron Cloak Patriarch's room, arriving in front of him an eldest senior brother. Junior brother Wong, what are you doing? Where's third junior brother? Why aren't you with him? Eldest senior brother was taken aback, glaring at junior brother Wang again. Third junior brother has already gone to help. Why are you still panicking? Oh no. Master, eldest senior brother and third senior brother seem to have been killed by that Lin Yi as well. Junior brother Wang continued to gasp for breath. What? Killed again? Iron Cloak Patriarch was stunned. What's going on? Isn't your third senior brother a heaven perfection expert? Yes, but the other side also has a heaven perfection expert, and it seems like second senior brother is already dead. Even if he's not dead, he'll be in deep trouble. Master, please send someone to help. Junior brother Wang said. Master, I'll go take a look. Eldest senior brother suddenly stood up, scratching his ears and cheeks anxiously, wanting to go help. You're the eldest senior brother of the sect. It's better for Master to go take a look. I've already passed the position to you, so you need to be calm. You can't be impatient every time something happens. You stay here. Master will go get it. Iron Cloak Patriarch stood up and left with junior brother Wang. Arriving in front of the mountain gate, the ironclad founding ancestor turned pale with fright. His second and third disciples were lying on the ground, and he didn't know if they were dead or alive. The rest of the group was still chatting leisurely. Who killed my disciple? Do you dare stand out? Iron Cloak Patriarch roared. You are. Linny stood up and asked. I'm Iron Cloak Patriarch, here to avenge my disciples. Iron Cloak Patriarch glared at Lin Yi. You're that Lin Yi? That's right, I'm Lin Yi, but are you sure you're the only one here for revenge? Can you do it? Lin Yi retorted. Huh. Iron Cloak Patriarch was furious at first, but suddenly remembered that his second and third disciples were dead. He was also a Heaven Realm Great Perfection expert. How could he be a match for the other party? The other side had one at the Great Circle of the Heaven Realm and one at the peak of the late stage. 2 against 1, they could easily suppress him. This caused Ancestor Ironclad's expression to change. You. Wait a minute, don't make a move. Little Wang, go back and inform your senior apprentice brother to ask for help from the Empyrean ancestors. Let's capture this Lin Yi together. Yes. Junior brother Wang agreed and turned to run. Lin Yi didn't stop him and let him run back. In any case, if 1 came, he would kill 1. If 2 came, he would kill 2. The Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts on his side weren't just for show. They hadn't been used before. You wait for a while. Wait for our men to arrive. Let's have a showdown. Old Ancestor Tai Yi was a little cowardly. He knew he wasn't a match, so he wanted to stall for time. Oh, okay. Lin Yi nodded indifferently. Then let's wait. When the experts of their sect arrived, Lin Yi would kill them all together. Otherwise, killing old Ancestor Tai Yi would scare the others away. Then it would be troublesome for Lin Yi to chase after them one by one. Old Ancestor Tai Yi didn't expect Lin Yi to directly agree. What was going on? Why did this Lin Yi look a little stupid? If it were him, he definitely wouldn't agree. But Lin Yi agreed just like that. What an idiot. Thinking of this, old Ancestor Tai Yi looked at Lin Yi and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Okay, we'll fight fairly. When my men arrive, we'll fight as a group. Fighting alone isn't heroic. Oh, do as you wish. Then let's fight as a group. Our men will attack together. Lin Yi nodded. Okay, no problem. Old Ancestor Tai Yi snickered. Just a group of women like you. What are you? Won't I beat you to a pulp? When that time comes, I'll kill Lin Yi and kidnap all these pretty girls into Iron Cloak sect. I won't be lonely in the future. After junior brother Wang returned, he stumbled into Iron Cloak Patriarch's room and came to the only remaining eldest senior brother. Junior brother Wang, what are you doing? Where's Master? Why did you come back alone? Grand senior brother saw that junior brother Wang had returned and couldn't help but be surprised. Are you training your body? No. Eldest senior brother. It's bad. Did you know? Third senior brother is dead. Master just went and was detained by that Lin Yi. Junior brother Wang said. Master told me to come back and report. What? Third junior brother was also killed? Eldest senior brother's eyes widened. Okay, I'll go now. See how I, old ho, kill them. Don't. Eldest senior brother. It's useless even if you go. That Lin Yi is really powerful. Master wants you to ask for help from the heavenly venerables and patriarchs. Ask them to deal with Lin Yi together. Junior brother Wang said hurriedly. What? Ask for help from the heavenly venerables and patriarchs? That Lin Yi is so powerful? Eldest senior brother was stunned. Okay, wait for me here. I'll go ask for help. In Iron Cloak sect, strength did not mean that one could be the sect leader. It was passed down from generation to generation. Otherwise, those heaven stage great perfection experts' lifespans would be extended indefinitely. When would there be a change of sect leader? Iron Cloak sect had a large number of disciples. It was too tiring for one sect leader to sit for too long. Hence, it was passed down from generation to generation. In any case, the old sect leaders were patriarchs or heavenly venerables. They were all heaven stage great perfection experts. For example, Iron Cloak Patriarch's master, Iron Cloak Patriarch, was a powerful figure who had reached heaven stage great perfection long ago. Iron Cloak Patriarch Senior and Junior brothers were also very powerful. Gold Cloak Patriarch, Silver Cloak Patriarch, Copper Cloak Patriarch, and Aluminum Cloak Patriarch were all heaven stage great perfection experts. Of course, the titles of these people were distributed after one of them inherited the position of the sect master. The one who inherited the position of sect master was called Old Ancestor Tai Yi, while the others were called by other names. Tai Yi was not the most powerful person in Tai Yi sect, it was just a title. Eldest senior brother searched for all the experts in Iron Cloak sect. They were Iron Cloak Patriarch, Aluminum Cloak Patriarch, Gold Cloak Patriarch, Silver Cloak Patriarch, Copper Cloak Patriarch, and Aluminum Cloak Patriarch. Including himself, there were a total of 7 heaven stage great perfection experts. No one would have thought that Iron Cloak sect had so many heaven stage great perfection experts. This was not known by other sects and cultivators. If he had known, Lin Yi wouldn't have spared Iron Cloak Patriarch's life and waited for the others to come. This meant that the other side had 8 heaven stage great perfection experts, while Lin Yi only had Tian Chan, Ming Yao, Yu Shu, Yu Ning, Little Nine, Guan Xian, Wang Xinyan, Han Jingjing, Bing Tang, Xiao Xiao, Sydney, and Lin Yi. 11 heaven stage great perfection and 1 late phase peak. Chapter 35-33. Grand Senior Brother brought a group of experts from Iron Cloak sect to the mountain gate. Iron Cloak Ancestor saw them and laughed. Wah! Lin Yi, you're dead this time. How dare you be so arrogant in our Iron Cloak sect? You're asking for death. Everyone, show your strength and scare this little bastard to death. Hee hee. Grand Senior Brother took the lead and showed his heaven-class late phase, peak full circle strength. Following that, the experts behind the Great Senior Brother also started to display their heaven stage great perfection strength. How is it, Lin Yi? Did you piss your pants? Iron Cloak Ancestor looked at Lin Yi proudly. Time to show off activated. Oh, that's right. I'm laughing my pants off. Only 8. Lin Yi laughed. What do you mean? Are you scared out of your wits? In Iron Cloak Ancestor's mind, Lin Yi should be pissing his pants. Why was he acting like nothing happened? That didn't make sense. Oh, everyone. Let's show them your strength. Scare this old thing to death. Lin Yi said to everyone present. Okay. I'll scare you to death. Yu Shu said and revealed her heaven-class full circle strength. As for the others, although they found the comparison between Lin Yi and Iron Cloak Ancestor funny, they still cooperated and revealed their strength. Iron Cloak Ancestor was dumbfounded. He looked at Lin Yi's group in disbelief, his legs turning to jelly. 11 heaven-class full circle? Little one, come out and show them. Lin Yi waved his hand and Little One appeared in the group. 12 heaven-class full circle masters. Ugh. Iron Cloak Ancestor only felt his eyes blur. Another heaven-class full circle master appeared. He was almost scared to death. Previously, 12-8 was already not enough, but now it was 13-8. Wasn't this a one-sided suppression? He subconsciously took 2 steps back. Well, young hero Lin, this is a misunderstanding. We're actually here to welcome you. Welcome us? You make it sound so nice. Didn't you want to gang up on me? Linny said indifferently. That's just a joke. It's not real. Forefather Tai, he was already scared before the battle even started. They weren't on the same level at all. Oh, but I'm not. Everyone, let's attack together. The gang fight has begun. Lin Yi didn't want to leave any trouble before leaving Heaven Stage Island. If it was before, Lin Yi might have spared their lives. Let them be his lackeys or something. However, with the face of the Iron Cloth sect, even a follower would not be too loyal. They were simply too self-righteous. Therefore, Lin Yi would not let this hidden danger stay. After he finished speaking, he directly sent out a palm strike, the 20th style of frenzy fist that he had been accumulating for a long time. And with the boost from the Essence Chi necklace, it was enough to kill Tai Yi Ancestor. The 20th form of the frenzy fist was equivalent to the 21st form of a normal martial skill. With the addition of the profound Chi necklace, it would be hard for Tai Yi Ancestor not to die. Bang! Tai Yi Ancestor was killed by Lin Yi without even realizing it. Let's go. Everyone. Let's kill this brat together. Eldest senior brother was anxious, and with a roar, he rushed forward. Since negotiation was useless, then let's fight. They couldn't escape anyway. 2 against 1. Linny said indifferently. If these inheritors were to fight one-on-one, they might lose due to lack of experience. But 2 against 1, the Iron Cloth sect was completely no match for them. The inheritors were also the best among the Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts, and their strength was not inferior to little ones. Wasn't beating these people from the Iron Cloth sect a piece of cake? Boom, boom, boom. Martial skills were activated continuously, and the light illuminated tens of thousands of miles. The experts from the Iron Cloth sect, one by one, they fell to the ground, and it was as miserable as it could be. It was a completely one-sided attack. Originally, Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts were rare, and each of them was an existence that could dominate a region. But in front of Lin Yi's team, they were completely useless. They all died one by one, and did not even have a chance to make a comeback. Oh well. The last one to die was the Iron Cloth Heavenly Lord, and Lin Yi personally sent him on his way. At this point, the Iron Cloth sect could be considered to have been annihilated. Without the support and protection of these top experts, the remaining disciples could not pose any threat at all. The once prominent Iron Cloth sect had directly become an ordinary sect that could not even be compared to the ancient level. These cultivators could not cause any trouble at all, and Lin Yi did not have the thought of finding trouble with them anymore. Now, what Lin Yi wanted was to hurry back to the West Star Mountain Village, and then open the next stone door to see what good things were behind the stone door, and not waste time here in the Iron Cloth sect. Patriarch Xianchen said to let everyone rest, and then he would gather everyone. Lin Yi did not know when he would gather everyone. What if time was tight and Lin Yi could not open the stone door in time? One had to know that the Heaven Stage Island plan would not wait for Lin Yi alone. If Lin Yi did not go, Patriarch Xianchen would be even happier, so it was better for Lin Yi to hurry up. Although Lin Yi's current team was enough to challenge Xianchen, if Xianchen were to push him too far, he'd be forced to go back on his word and not open the island. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He didn't know how to get to the island, even if he had an inheritor by his side. Without a person like Patriarch Xianchen who understood, everything was illusory. Therefore, after destroying the Iron Cloth sect, Lin Yi returned with the women. What made Lin Yi regret was that Tang Yun did not break through in the battle. Of course, Lin Yi was afraid of problems, so he did not dare to let her fight alone. After all, the opponents were masters of the Great Perfection, but Tang Yun was not. If she fought alone and something went wrong, then Lin Yi would really regret it. Thinking of this, Lin Yi glanced at Sydney on the side and said, "Sydney, Tang Yun did not break through. What should we do next? Rock Candy and I can go in her place, but I am afraid that there will be problems." Sydney did not hide it now and said directly, "Call her Sister Rock Candy." Rock Candy interrupted. "I'll assist Sister Rock Candy. In fact, I can barely replace the inheritor of the mist element. After all, everyone's origin is the water element." Shueli said, "It's possible, but no one can tell if it'll work or not." Lin Yi, I suddenly realized that I seemed to have touched the opportunity to break through. Tang Yun suddenly said. "En?" Linny and Sydney were both surprised. "Is the battle effective?" "No, the battle has no effect, but it seems that because I am in a good mood," Tang Yun said with a blush. Chapter 35-34. Stop it. It's not like that. Tang Yun rolled her eyes at Linny. "Why are you still so violent? When I first met you, you were always fighting and killing. I was worried about you." We're all cultivators. Fighting and killing is normal, right?" Linny was a bit embarrassed. He thought about the past and smiled warmly. "Oh, right, what kind of feeling are you talking about?" I knew that Sydney Sis and Lin E were together, so I was relieved. I thought that you wouldn't stop me and Linny from being together. Then, I suddenly found a hint of breakthrough. Tang Yun said. "Huh, that's so strange." Shweli was stunned. "Tang Yun Sis, you have to call her Sydney Sis. Don't call her Sydney Sis." Bing Tang said. "Then you have to call her Sis. Why are you calling her Sis?" Sydney stared at Bing Tang. "I am her cousin. Are you?" Bing Tang said proudly. I am her senior sister," Sydney said. "Senior sister is useless. I have to call her Xiao Xiao Sis." Bing Tang said. What's the big deal? You don't have to tell me." Sydney said. "Tang Yun Sis, did you really find the opportunity to break through?" "Yes, but it was just a feeling for a moment. It seems that the aura around me is not enough for me to break through. If I can go to a place with dense aura, I think I can break through," Tang Yun said. "Or, if I go back to the Five Evils wilderness, I might be able to break through under the pressure." "I see." Linny frowned and said, "It's not easy to find a place with dense aura. Can we go back to the Five Evils wilderness?" Linny said and looked at Tian Chan, who was not far away. "It can't. That portal can only be used once in a period of time. If we want to use it again, we will have to wait for a long time," Tian Chan said. "I don't know how long it will take." "What about the portal for the test?" Linny was a little disappointed. He nodded and continued to ask. "If they used the portal from the previous trial, although it was far from the Five Evils Mountains, with the pressure of the ghost, it shouldn't be dangerous." "It can be activated once a year," Tian Chan said. "1 year? It's too late." Linny was helpless. If Tang Yun could enter the space in the jade, it would be great. That was the place with the purest energy, but Tang Yun couldn't enter it. She was the only one who could enter. "I'll take it one step at a time. Maybe I'll break through on the way." Let's look for the reason from Yun Yin's current situation. Why is it that when she's in a good mood, she sensed an opportunity to break through? Master Snow really missed Zhang Liju Yun. Grandmaster Snow had always been thinking about Zhang Liju, and that was why she was able to perfect Heartless Arts? And Yin Yun felt the opportunity to break through because she let go of the shackles in her heart? Although Sydney didn't want to believe it, the facts were right in front of her, so she had to believe it. Heartless yet loving? Linny agreed. That should be the case. If Tang Yun let go of the pressure in her heart, she would have broken through a long time ago. It's all my fault, Sydney said apologetically. "It's not your fault, Sister Shui." "Sister, this is also the rule of our Snow Valley." Tang Yun shook her head. "I'll try my best. Let's go back. Don't delay our business." "All right. Since everyone in the car is on the same side, let's all make a trip back to Star West Village. We'll be able to meet our old man." Lin E didn't hesitate and drove straight to Star West Village. They'd all move together. Shield bro, when did you get Tian Chan? She's one of us?" Yushu noticed the problem in Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi was stunned while Tian Chan blushed. Only then did Lin Yi realize the problem in his tone. He had unconsciously included Tian Chan. But as soon as Lin Yi opened his mouth, Tian Chan was unwilling. "Don't say it, or I'll kick you." Tian Chan was embarrassed and glared at Lin Yi. Tell me. Little Shu loved listening to stories. "Hey, Tian Chan, if you want to be Lil, Shu said to Tian Chan. Tian Chan remembered that there were a lot of Lin Yi's wives here. She was alone and could only lower her head helplessly. "All right, Shield bro, hurry up and tell us." Little Shu called. It was during the Sky Elixir sex trial. We didn't know that she was the young master of the Sky Elixir sect. We escaped from the Five Demons mountain range where the Five Demons dragon was, Linny said, and told everyone about his encounter with Tian-chan. There was nothing to hide. It was normal for two people to have feelings for each other in that kind of environment. Oh, so Shield Bro knows the Dragon of Five Fiends from the start. I was wondering why it seemed to listen to Shield Bro a lot. Haha, Kang Xiaoming and Zhong Pingliang, those two idiots, they're screwed over. Yushu burst into laughter. Lin Yi didn't dare drive the car into West Star Village, that would be too shocking. Bringing so many pretty girls home would make him look like a tourist group, wouldn't he? Wouldn't people think of him as a monster then? Lin Yi could only park the car in the nearest town to Star West Village. He found a hotel and asked Ergooden to bring old Lin over. The girls were very excited to meet the legendary grandfather of old Lin, Lin Yi. They all asked Mingyao, Yushu, and Tang Yun for advice, but old Lin was very friendly. He came here as if he had expected this scene. He just smiled and chatted with everyone. Linny looked at this happy and harmonious scene and let out a breath of relief. He asked Ergooden, Yuan, and old Lin to stay here. Linny told everyone that he had something to do and left. This was the fourth time Lin Yi opened the stone door. He was very excited. Linny stood in front of the Xinyuan cave and felt very emotional. But it wasn't night yet. The stone door couldn't be opened before nightfall. Linny tried and the stone door didn't open, so he gave up. Chapter 35. It was still early, so Lin Yi calmed himself down and waited for the night to fall. He was already a Heaven Realm full circle expert, so he didn't need to cultivate anymore. His current bottleneck was the way of heaven, but it wasn't that easy to break through. He might not even be able to successfully break through on Heaven Realm Island, let alone in the secular world. Therefore, Lin Yi didn't try to do useless things, but rested quietly. Night fell slowly. Lin Yi stood up slowly and walked towards the cave. He stopped in front of the stone door in front of the cave, then slowly placed his hand on the stone door and began to circulate the art of dragon mastery. With previous experiences, this step could be said to be a walk in the park for Lin Yi. After the stone door recognized him as its master, it slowly rose, and the familiar first floor of the Xinyuan cave was revealed in front of Lin Yi's eyes. The scene behind the stone door was similar to the last time Lin Yi came. Lin Yi didn't stay for long, and directly walked to the second stone door at the back of the hall. Just like last time, he circulated the mantra, and the second stone door slowly opened. The third stone door was also the most important stone door. Lin Yi walked over and stopped in front of the stone door. The third stone door was the same as the second stone door. After circulating the mantra, it slowly opened. Lin Yi walked in, and without looking at the scene behind the stone door, he directly came in front of the fourth stone door, which was also the most important stone door. Lin Yi walked over and stopped in front of the stone door. In front of the stone door, there was also a stone tablet standing on the side of the door, with a sentence carved in seal script, "Third stage full circle, weapon in hand. Hit the door with the weapon to enter." The third stage full circle referred to the third stage full circle of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi took out the Heaven Realm magical staff that he had forged before, and then took a deep breath. He circulated the mantra, and this time, Lin Yi circulated the mantra at full speed, without holding back, and directly released the third stage of the art of dragon mastery. At the same time, he infused true chi into the Heaven Realm magical staff, and suddenly smashed it towards the stone door. Boom! The strength of the Heaven Realm full circle, coupled with the full circulation of the mantra, smashed towards the stone door with all his true chi, making a loud bang. Lin Yi was just about to raise his hand. He put away his sky-class staff, but what he didn't expect was that his staff seemed to be stuck to the stone door, and he couldn't pick it up. Lin Yi paused, but he remembered his previous experience. His hand was stuck on the stone door, and he couldn't move it away. Perhaps this was the stone door's test as well. Lin Yi took a deep breath and let the magic staff stick onto the stone door. What happened next was within Lin Yi's expectations. At this time, There was no need for Lin Yi to take the initiative to circulate his mental cultivation method. The mental cultivation method began to circulate passively, and Lin Yi's physical strength and true qi slowly flowed into the stone door through his staff. However, with past experience, Lin Yi did not panic at all this time. Every time, it was more or less the same, so he calmly faced everything in front of him. As time passed, the amount of true qi in Lin Yi's body decreased, and finally, all of it entered the stone door. Then, the energy that entered the stone door flowed back into Lin Yi's body. Unsurprisingly, the energy this time was pure qi. Just like last time, it was purer than before. The stone door once again helped Lin Yi complete the filtration. Then, the energy flowed back into the stone door, and just like that, it flowed back and forth 4 times. Finally, the 4th stone door suddenly issued a loud rumble, and the energy flow between Lin Yi and the stone door stopped, and the stone door began to rise slowly. Phew! Lin Yi let out a long breath. It seemed that the 4th stone door was opened in the same way as the previous 2 stone doors. The stone door opened, and Lin Yi did not dare to delay. He had to leave the cave before dawn, or else he would be locked inside. Of course, he could leave the next day. At most, it would be a matter of waiting for 1 more day. However, Lin Yi's time was quite tight. The 5 Elements sect might summon the challengers back for the Heaven rank meeting at any time, so Lin Yi had to hurry. Just like behind the 3rd stone door, there was a very simple small room. There was still no light source in the room, but it was still as bright as day. There was still a small platform in front of the stone room, and on top of the platform, there was still an antique small box. Apart from that, there was nothing else inside. Seeing this, Lin Yi was neither happy nor disappointed. Apart from the box, there was nothing else here. This was also within his expectations, but he always hoped to encounter something unexpected, but there was nothing. Every time he encountered a small box, Lin Yi was already used to it. Walking forward, Lin Yi stretched out his hand and took the antique small box. The small box was light, and it was almost the same as before. It seemed that there should be a cultivation method or a casting method inside. After putting away the small box, Lin Yi raised his head and looked around the stone room behind the 4th stone door. Lin Yi wanted to see if there was a so-called 5th stone door, but to Lin Yi's disappointment, this should be the last stone door. Because there was no 5th stone door in the stone room, it was empty and smooth stone walls. It seemed that there was no way out. His path in the secular world was almost finished. If there was no accident, this would be the last time Lin Yi came to the Xinyuan Cave Mansion. There would probably be no more fortuitous encounters in the future. What would there be on the Heaven Stage Island? However, Lin Yi didn't think that the Xinyuan Cave Mansion would still exist. After all, the Xinyuan Cave Mansion here was probably related to Old Lin. Who else could he rely on the Heaven Stage Island? He could only rely on his own hands. Zhao Lao, this is the last stone room. Your memory should have been unlocked, right? What's the next step like? Lin Yi took a deep breath and asked Zhao Yazi. Yes, this is the last stone door. There is no more. As for my memory, I just remembered, it is actually limited. The days that I can accompany you should not be much longer, because my mission has been completed. Zhao Yazi said word by word. What? Mission completed? You haven't said anything yet? Who are you? Where did you come from? This stone door is gone. Where should I go in the future? Lin Yi's questions came one after another. Chapter 35-36. However, I only have a small portion of the original body's memories. The rest of the memories haven't been solidified, so I don't know. Zhao Yazi said, if you really want to ask, then I can only say that I'm afraid I'll only appear again when you reach a certain level. Appear again? Lin Yi paused. You're leaving? Not leaving, it's hard to explain. You'll know when the time comes, Zhao Yazi said. All right. Lin Yi knew Zhao Yazi's speciality. If he didn't say something, you wouldn't be able to get it out no matter how you asked, and he probably didn't even know himself. Then what's in the box? It's nothing. Won't you know when you go back? Why ask me? Zhao Yazi smiled. Now, you basically know everything I know. My mission is complete. All right. Lin Yi sighed and left the cave. There was still some time before daybreak, so Lin Yi sat cross-legged at the entrance of the cave, waiting for the sun to rise. It wasn't until the stone door was completely closed that Lin Yi stood up and left, returning to the inn. Although there wasn't much left in the Xinyuan cave, it was a memory for Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't want others to find it or destroy it. So, Lin Yi waited until the stone door was completely closed before leaving. After returning to the inn, it was time for Lin Yi to leave as well. He said goodbye to old Lin, and this time, he might be gone for a few months, or maybe a few years. It all depended on whether things went smoothly on Heaven Stage Island. However, old Lin was still very supportive of him going to Heaven Stage Island. Lin Yi told him his decision, and old Lin only nodded with a smile. Very well, in the common world, you don't have anyone to rely on. You relied on your own strength to survive until now, and on Heaven Stage Island, you can also rely on your own strength to make a name for yourself. Lin Yi didn't mention Zhang Liju from Sky Class Island. He could be considered his backer, but whether or not he could meet Zhang Liju at the beginning, whether or not he had the right to meet him at his level was unknown. Perhaps this backer would only be useful after he reached a certain level, right? In the past, he probably had to rely on himself. What Lin Yi did not know was, it was the same for him in the secular world. When he reached a certain level in the later stage, Lin Dong helped him deal with the unexpected factor of the blood-clothed underworld sect. At other times, he still relied on himself. He brought the girls back to Yinjing City. Lin Yi didn't stay in Donghai any longer, and went to find Tianlong and Lingshan. He wanted to cure them and then gather all his followers in the common world for a meeting to discuss and arrange everything after he left. Curing Tianlong and Lingshan and raising their strength to Sky-class late-phase peak wasn't hard for Lin Yi. At first, Lin Yi was worried about the materials for the Qi-gathering pill, but now that he had Tian Chan, the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, he had all the materials. As for the rest of Lin Yi's followers who weren't going to Sky-class Island, they were all gathered together by Lin Yi. Even Dafeng Bro and Kuan Siyuan were called over by Lin Yi. Lin Yi had to let these followers get to know each other, and then they could help each other and unite against the common enemy. Some of these followers knew each other, but some weren't familiar with each other. But with Lin Yi, the soul of the group, these people were able to gather together easily. Lin Yi also said that he might be gone for a few months or years, and he wanted these people to unite and not cause trouble. But they didn't need to be afraid of trouble, and they would all be under Lingshan's control and deployment. Naturally, these people wouldn't say anything about it. They all agreed wholeheartedly. In their eyes, Lin Yi was a godlike existence, raising their strength to Earth-class late-phase peak and giving them so many Qi-gathering pills for them to use. It was simply too amazing. Kong Xiaobo and Fatty Lai came as well. He knew that it wasn't much use to raise their strength, but he did it anyway, including Zhou Ruoming. Lin Yi gave him Zhou Ruoming, but he didn't give him anything higher. He didn't need that much strength at his level anyway. After that, Lin Yi said goodbye to Sun Jingyi, Yang Qiqi, Su Shihan, Qing Yi, and Ing Ziyu. But Lin Yi suddenly remembered Chen Shi and turned to Tian Chan. Tian Chan, where's Chen Shi? She's doing great. Tian Dai's taking care of her. She's called Tian Shi now, and I'm going to bring them with me to Sky-class Island, Tian Chan said. Ugh, who's Tian Dai? And Chen Shi, she's already a perfected master? Lin Yi was shocked. How long had it been since Chen Shi left? She's already Earth-class mid-phase after eating small Qi-gathering pills. But don't you have a bunch of them? I'll bring some back, and I'll be perfected, right? Tian Chan said casually. As for Tian Dai, she's the one who went to your house to save you. She's my personal maid. I see. Lin Yi was speechless. With everything settled, it was time for Lin Yi to return to Five Elements Sects Inn. They hadn't gathered everyone yet, but it was good for Lin Yi to go back and wait. As for Tang Yun's matter, Lin Yi had found a way, but he hadn't told them yet. First of all, it involved Lin Yi's biggest secret, the Jade Space. Second, Lin Yi wasn't ready yet, and it was too early to say it. From behind the fourth stone door, Lin Yi took out a small box. There were 2 scrolls inside. One was the 4th stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, but it said that it could only be practiced when breaking through to Sky Dao or above. When breaking through to Sky Dao, it could be used as a support. Practicing it below Sky Dao would be useless, and the best-case scenario would be to go mad, and the worst-case scenario would be death by explosion. This art of dragon mastery also had a cool name, Duotian. Of course, Linny wasn't stupid enough to try it. Although he could practice it when breaking through to Sky Dao, when would he be considered to have broken through to Sky Dao? Was it when he took the heavenly golden pill, or all of this was unknown, and Lin Yi didn't dare to try it? If he went mad at this time, he'd be screwed. So, Lin Yi decided to find a chance to ask Zhao Lao. These days of continuous work, Lin Yi didn't even have the chance to enter the Jade space to chat. Chapter 35-37. This time, after the condensation of the Jade Pendant, other people could enter the space of the Jade Pendant, not just Lin Yi himself. Of course, it was the soul that entered, not the body. However, there was a prerequisite, and that was, only those who were incomparably loyal to Lin Yi and had no bad intentions could enter. Even if they had bad intentions, they couldn't enter the space of the Jade Pendant. And this wasn't Lin Yi's judgment, but the judgment of the space of the Jade Pendant automatically. After all, it was only the soul that entered the space of the Jade Pendant. If there were any bad intentions, it was very likely to turn the tables. As for the specifics, Lin Yi wasn't too sure, because the condensation instructions didn't explain. It only said that those who weren't absolutely loyal couldn't enter the space of the Jade Pendant. However, in Lin Yi's eyes, Tang Yun didn't have any problems, because Tang Yun's feelings for Lin Yi were extremely deep. In order to let Lin Yi not suffer, she would rather suffer herself. Wasn't this kind of person loyal enough? She could definitely pass the test of the space of the Jade Pendant, right? As long as Tang Yun could enter the space of the Jade Pendant to cultivate, then breaking through to the peak would probably be a matter of minutes. After all, she had already touched the bottleneck. As for the energy stones, Lin Yi also thought about it, and also gave Tang Yun a test, but the effect was very little. After all, Tang Yun's arts were different from Wang Xinyan and Zhang Naipeo. They could actively absorb unlimited energy, but Tang Yun could only absorb it passively. The energy stones could definitely provide more energy than the current energy of heaven and earth, but it definitely wouldn't be too much. It definitely wasn't enough for her to break through to the peak. So, only the space of the Jade Pendant was omnipotent. Lin Yi brought the girls back to the Inn of the Five Elements sect, and Lin Yi began to refine the space of the Jade Pendant at the same time. In the room of the Xinshan ancestor of the Five Elements sect sat a handsome man with long hair and a very warm appearance. It gave people a feeling of sunshine, but this person's eyes were faintly gloomy. It made people feel awe at first glance and not look down on him because of his appearance. Chancellor Nantian, I have already prepared for the Sky Class meeting according to your orders. At this moment, the Xinshan ancestor was actually kneeling on one knee. If anyone was present, they would definitely be shocked. Ancestor Xinshan, the high and mighty acting sect master of the Five Elements sect, actually treated the person in front of him like this. The Five Elements sect was the initiator, organizer, and executor of the Heaven Stage Island plan. Therefore, it was known as the number one sect in the ancient times. This was a rather awesome existence. All the ancient sects that wanted to advance to the heavenly Tao were extremely respectful to Patriarch Xinshan. However, Patriarch Xinshan was as careful as a servant. Yes, since I came here, Island Master has asked me to be in charge of guiding the disciples of each island. The man in the ancient robe nodded and said, Xinshan, you have done well. When the time comes, you will follow me. Become my subordinate. Thank you, Chancellor South Heaven, for your guidance. Patriarch Black Earth was overjoyed. This Chancellor Nantian was obviously an important figure on the heavenly stage island. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to contact him in the secular world as a guiding mentor. Patriarch Xinshan was worried that he would not have anyone to rely on when he reached Heaven Stage Island. If the others were all stronger than him, he would be screwed. In the end, the South Heaven Chancellor delivered himself to his doorstep. This was a great opportunity for him. Yes, you just have to do your job well. I need a few vicious and intelligent subordinates. Chancellor Nantian chuckled and said in an indifferent tone, "Oh right, South Heaven Chancellor. Speaking of vicious, my disciple is also a dragon among dragons. Do you think he can learn from you? Patriarch Xinshin quickly recommended Kong Mingming to South Heaven Chancellor. This won't do. I can only take you with me, and that's already my limit. As for where the newcomers go, the teleportation array will automatically allocate them. I have no right to interfere. This is the rule of Heaven Stage Island. Even I can't interfere. South Heaven Chancellor said. I see. Patriarch Xinshin was a little disappointed. It seemed that Kong Mingming could only rely on himself. Yes, the Heaven Stage Island plan is going well, right? Because newcomers from the secular world to Heaven Stage Island only appear once every 1,000 years. Our island master also places great importance on this. Back then, Heaven Stage Island's newcomer, Master Zhang Liju, walked up from your secular world's 5-element sect. Now, he is already a proud figure on the 5 islands. Even the island master is respectful to him. I hope that this time, your secular world can also produce such a figure. Don't let our island master down, South Heaven Chancellor said. Haha, I think Kong Mingming has this potential. Master Zhang Liju is an elixir refiner, and so is Zhao Ming. His potential is limitless. I think he can satisfy the island master. Oh, Zhao Ming is that disciple of mine. Patriarch Xinshin quickly explained. Oh, is that so? That's not bad. But, is this the only elixir refiner that came from the secular world? South Heaven Chancellor asked. Of course not. My senior brother has another disciple called Tianchan. She is also an elixir refiner, but she isn't very strong. Her brother is better at alchemy, but her brother will definitely go to Heaven Stage Island. There are 2 other freelancers, a man and a woman, but they are just a couple, Patriarch Xinshin said. Couple? What do you mean? South Heaven Chancellor asked. He's just a pretentious rogue cultivator. He thinks he's so awesome and pretentious all the time. That woman is his woman. Patriarch Xinshin said. Right, South Heaven Chancellor, we have to be careful of that kid when we go to Heaven Stage Island. Not only does that kid show off, but he also has strength. He is our archenemy. I'm afraid that he will continue to go against us when he gets to Heaven Stage Island. He still dares to go against us when he gets to Heaven Stage Island? South Heaven Chancellor laughed proudly. Ha! This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. If he dares to stab us, I'll slap him into the sea. Oh, right, I forgot. That Lin, he might be showing off in the secular world, but when he gets to Heaven Stage Island, he's nothing. Patriarch Xinshin said flatteringly. Don't worry, when we get to Heaven Stage Island, you will definitely be awesome if you follow me. South Heaven Chancellor said proudly. Thank you, South Heaven Chancellor. Patriarch Xinshin was relieved after hearing that. From Chancellor Nanshan's words, he should be doing very well on Heaven Stage Island. And then hold the Heaven Stage meeting. Those inheritors don't have to attend. When the time comes, they will gather together, and I'll tell them what to pay attention to, South Heaven Chancellor said faintly. Chapter 35-38. Heh. Chancellor Nantian made a throat-slitting gesture. You'll know when the time comes. Okay. The Xinshin ancestor was startled. What did this mean? Death? However, Chancellor Nantian didn't say much, and he didn't dare to ask. But this was better. He had planned to target Lin Yi at the Sky Class meeting, announcing a piece of bad news for Lin Yi. Although this news could hurt Lin Yi, he was afraid that Lin Yi would retaliate. After all, those inheritors were with Lin Yi. It was okay to force them, but if they were angry and joined forces with Lin Yi, it wouldn't be fun. But now, those inheritors weren't participating in the meeting. Lin Yi was really alone. None of the participants would support Lin Yi. They were only doing it for their own benefit, especially with Pinliang and Naipeo leading the way. They definitely wouldn't dare to not support his decision. After all, Pinliang and Naipeo weren't there for nothing. They would kill anyone who didn't agree. These two were existences that even the Xinshin ancestor had a headache with. He'd be in danger if Pinliang's aura made him lose his footing and allowed Naipeo to use his wasp absorption arts on him. And so, this was the reason why Naipeo expressed his goodwill to the everyday and everyday sect as soon as he recovered. Okay, Go make the announcement and let the participants come back. Prepare to land on Sky-class Island. Chancellor Nantion said. Yes. The Xiantian ancestor said quickly. Okay, then I'll go rest first, Chancellor Nantion said. Okay, please. The Xiantian ancestor said. After that, Chancellor Nantion directly went through the wall in front of the Xiantian ancestor. With a whoosh, he disappeared in an instant. However, the Xiantian ancestor seemed to be used to it and didn't show any surprise at all. The method of making the jade was similar to the last time. But now, whatever materials Linny wanted, the sect of the inheritors could help him find, especially the Sky Elixir sect that Tian Chan was in. They had everything. So, materials weren't a problem, and Linny had successfully condensed a Sky-class weapon, so upgrading the jade space was a piece of cake. In just one night, Linny successfully condensed it, and Lin Yi called Tang Yun to his room. Lin Yi, why did you call me so early in the morning? Ever since Tang Yun discovered that her arts were emotional, she didn't have as much of a taboo with Lin Yi. She didn't want to interfere anymore. I called you to sleep, Lin Yi said. Sleep? Tang Yun asked. What? Sleep with me, now, Lin Yi said. Tang Yun's eyes went wide as she blushed. What are you talking about? You, Tang said. You? Tang. You can? You can break through by sleeping with me, Lin Yi smiled. I broke through just by sleeping with you? Tang Yun was stunned. How is that possible? I can break through by sleeping with you? Tang Yun was stunned. How is that possible? Lin Yi prepared to tell Tang Yun about the jade space. After all, Tang Yun wasn't an outsider. She was his first real girlfriend, and Tang Yun was going to enter the jade space as well. I don't know. Don't you have energy stones and Wang Xinyan? Tang Yun was confused. Wang Xinyan is in the late stage. I'm talking about the early stage, Lin Yi said. I relied on a jade space in the early stage. Ugh, Wang Xinyan is late stage. I'm talking about early stage, Lin Yi said. I rely on the jade space in the early stage. It's a place where I usually practice. You and I can enter when you fall asleep, Lin Yi said. But you have to be with me first. You have to hold my hand and get close to me. It's a place I usually train in. You can come in when you fall asleep, Lin Yi said. But you have to be with me first, hold my hand and get close to me, Lin Yi said. But first, you have to hold my hand and get close to me. It wasn't that Lin Yi was trying to take advantage of Tang Yun. It was the truth. The jade space could let others enter with both hands. Of course, this was only the first time. After the jade space recognized the owner, Tang Yun would be able to enter on her own. As long as she was within Lin Yi's range, she could send a signal to Lin Yi. After Lin Yi agreed, Tang Yun could enter the jade space on her own. The first time, she would rely on the jade to judge if the person was loyal to Lin Yi. The second time, she would rely on Lin Yi to judge. The jade wouldn't be able to stop her. Oh, really? Tang Yun felt like she was listening to a book from heaven. She was confused by Lin Yi's words. Try it and you'll know. Lin Yi nodded. Tang Yun lied down beside Lin Yi. If it wasn't for her absolute trust in Lin Yi, and the fact that Lin Yi wouldn't use this method to trick her into bed, Tang Yun would really think that Lin Yi was plotting something against her. Tang Yun lay beside Lin Yi and held Lin Yi's hand. Her breathing became erratic. This was the scene she had dreamed of, lying together with Lin Yi and whispering to each other. It seemed so distant to her before, but now it felt so real. Are you asleep? Lin Yi asked. Yup, no. Tang Yun shook her head. How could she fall asleep? She was too excited. That won't do. If you don't sleep, you can't enter the jade space, Lin Yi said helplessly. Yup, I'll try my best. Tang Yun closed her eyes. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Finally, after half an hour, Tang Yun fell asleep. Lin Yi saw Tang Yun in the jade space. Tang Yun needed to sleep, but Lin Yi didn't need to. He could enter the jade space directly. Where is this? Tang Yun, who just entered the jade space, was scared. It was dark inside, and there was nothing around. She couldn't see the end of it. Tang Yun couldn't see the jade space that Lin Yi used for storage. Who are you? Tang Yun saw Jiao Yazi and took 2 steps back in shock. I'm the one who told Lin Yi to save you after you were drugged by Zhong Pingliang, Jiao Yazi said proudly. Oh, it's you. Tang Yun nodded. You're such a busybody. Ah, Jiao Yazi was stunned. He was waiting for Tang Yun to thank him. He didn't expect that she would say you're a busybody. This made Jiao Yazi mad and speechless. Haha. Lin Yi entered the jade space and heard the conversation between Tang Yun and Jiao Yazi. He couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 35-39. This made Tang Yun a little embarrassed. She coughed twice and said, Lin Yi, is this inside the space of the jade pendant? That's right. Didn't you notice that the heaven and earth spiritual energy here is especially rich? Lin Yi nodded and said, it's really like that. Tang Yun was curious when she came in and didn't notice the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Now that she heard what Lin Yi said, she suddenly realized that the heaven and earth spiritual energy here was actually several times more than in the outside world. It was much more than in the Snow Valley. Thinking of this, Tang Yun quickly sat cross-legged on the ground and began to circulate the ruthless tactics. Time passed quickly and it was 8:00 the next morning. The inheritor and Tian Chan were called to the empty space behind the inn alone. Perhaps Ancestor Xianqin had already noticed that there seemed to be something wrong with Tian Chan, so he didn't let her participate in the Heaven Rank Conference. In this way, Lin Yi's position in the Heaven Rank Conference was even more disadvantageous, and it was more convenient for Ancestor Xianqin to manipulate his plan. In the conference room, all the participants, including Rock Candy, Sydney, and Elder Anya, who were related to the inheritor, were also arranged to the empty space downstairs of the inn. When Lin Yi entered the conference room, the atmosphere inside made him feel indescribably depressed. Everyone looked at him strangely. Previously, Kong Ming had already secretly connected all the people, so these people naturally looked at Lin Yi with some pity. In their opinion, Lin Yi would definitely become the sacrifice of the Heaven Islands plan. What surprised Lin Yi was that he actually saw Tagonlong. This guy should be a very important part of Ancestor Xuanqin's plan. Otherwise, Ancestor Xianqin wouldn't have taken the risk to find trouble with him and force Sun Jingyi to save him. Ahem, alright, since everyone is here. The Heaven Rank Conference is about to officially begin. Ancestor Xianqin walked into the conference room after Lin Yi. Behind him was Kong Ming, but what was surprising was that he and Kong Ming sat on both sides of the conference room's main seat. He was not sitting in the middle. Could it be that there were more distinguished guests coming? This made all the trial challengers whisper at the same time. They wanted to know what had happened. Who was more powerful than the Five Elements sect? How was this possible? Silence. Kong Ming's expression turned solemn as he said, Let us give a warm round of applause to Chancellor Nantian, the welcoming envoy from Heavenly Island. The so-called libation was a position similar to that of a minter on Heaven Island. This position could be big or small. However, when Kong Ming saw how arrogant he was, he knew that this person was probably a powerful person. Moreover, he didn't look old, only in his 40s. Looking at his appearance, he seemed to be around 30 years old. This kind of person was probably in existence with boundless prospects on Heaven Stage Island. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been sent to the secular world to carry out a mission. Just when everyone was stunned and didn't expect that someone from Heaven Stage Island would actually come, a black shadow appeared in the main seat of the conference room with a whoosh. It could be said that he came and went without a trace. There was no sign at all. No one knew where this guy came from. Primordial spirit? Lin Yi looked at the person and was a little surprised. This person was not a physical entity, but something similar to a primordial spirit. An ordinary cultivator might not notice this, but Lin Yi dealt with two primordial spirits every day, so naturally, he could see this person's attribute at a glance. Chancellor Nantian had just sat down when he heard someone say that he was a primordial spirit. He immediately snorted coldly. Who is this little bastard? How dare you criticize me in front of this chancellor? Xianqin, is this the quality of the cultivators in the secular world? Chancellor Nantian, please calm down. Kong Ming sneered in his heart. This Lin Yi was really something. He had just arrived, and he had already offended Chancellor Nantian. However, little did he know, Chancellor Nantian had already received a hint from Patriarch Xianqin. Even without this incident, Chancellor Nantion would still target Lin Yi. This person is an unorthodox rogue cultivator. His name is Lin Yi, and he is a pretentious person. Just ignore him. Someone like him will only be courting death if he goes to Heavenly Island. That's right. Kong Mingming is right. Don't think that you are all-powerful in the secular world. Once you reach Heavenly Island, you are nothing. Once you reach Heavenly Island, you are the newcomers of the lowest level, just like the other newcomers who come to Heavenly Island. If anyone thinks that they are great, then I don't even need to do anything. They will die miserably. Chancellor Nantion nodded and said, "That Lin Yi, do you think that you can be arrogant just because I have a primordial spirit here? All right, I will remember you. Although my primordial spirit avatar is nothing, don't let my main body meet you when you go to Heavenly Island. Otherwise, you will die miserably." Lin Yi didn't expect that his casual words would attract such hatred from Chancellor Nantion. Wasn't this a bit unrealistic? Could it be that Chancellor Nantion, Patriarch Xinshan, and Kong Mingming had reached some secret agreement? Thinking about it, it should be so. Otherwise, why would this guy target me for no reason? Lin Yi secretly remembered Chancellor Nantion's appearance. When he arrived at Heavenly Island in the future, he would hide from him first and then find a chance to get rid of him. Haha, Chancellor Nantion, don't lower yourself to his level. Next, tell me about the things we need to pay attention to when we go to Heavenly Island. Kong Mingming laughed and said in his heart. In his opinion, Lin Yi's death was already in the countdown. Even if Lin Yi endured it later, he would definitely die when he arrived at Heavenly Island. Well, the first thing is that I want to tell everyone about the Heavenly Tao. That is, what is the Heavenly Tao? Chancellor Nantion's words made everyone hold their breath, including Lin Yi. This was because everyone had heard that the Heavenly Tao was above Heavenly Island. But what exactly was the Heavenly Tao? No one knew. Was the Heavenly Tao a level or just a general term? No one knew. So when Chancellor Nantion wanted to explain, everyone quickly prepared to listen. Chapter 3540. Chancellor Nantion's words shocked all the cultivators present. So, the Heavenly Tao was a mortal cultivation. This was a legendary existence. So, it could really be realized. And a cultivator was equivalent to a Qi refinement stage cultivator. Thinking about it, it made sense. After all, cultivators cultivated true Qi. Wasn't this the Qi refinement stage? However, what they couldn't accept was that their strength, which they were so proud of, would be nothing if they went to Heavenly Island. Would there be a lot of experts then? Or experts like Chancellor Nantion were only a minority? They didn't dare to ask these questions. After all, with Lin Yi as an example, no one dared to speak carelessly. Next, according to the rules of the previous years, I will distribute the cultivation mantra to everyone. Chancellor Nantion's words made everyone in the meeting room breathe rapidly. Cultivation's mantra and mnemonic formula? Did that mean that everyone could break through to become a Heavenly Tao expert through cultivating this mantra, which was the so-called Foundation Establishment Stage expert? If that was the case, then could they not go to Heaven Island and cultivate in the secular world? And Lin Yi was a little excited. He didn't expect that there would really be a mantra to break through to Heavenly Tao. Looking at the excited crowd, Chancellor Nantion suddenly sneered and said, "I haven't finished speaking. Don't be too happy too early." Everyone's joy lasted for less than a minute, and they heard Chancellor Nantion's cold words. Although this mantra can allow one to break through to the Heavenly Tao, it is incomplete and not the complete mantra. Chancellor Nantion said, as everyone knows, every cultivator can only cultivate one mantra. If you want to cultivate another, your strength will be crippled, and you will go mad. And when you step into the ranks of immortal cultivators, you only have one chance to choose a mantra. If you think that the mantra is not useful, then you can change to another one. You can also change to this mantra passed down from ancient times. But this mantra has a problem. It can only help you break through to Foundation Establishment Stage. If you want to go further and reach my level, then it won't work. There was no doubt. This mental cultivation method mnemonic chant is just for show. If the person who cultivates it forcefully cultivates above the Foundation Establishment Stage, they will go berserk and become an idiot. There is an example on our Heaven Stage Island. Previously, the dignified Heaven Stage Island Vice Island master the will of heaven because he cultivated this crippling mental cultivation method. Now, he had cultivated into an idiot. You can follow in his footsteps. Everyone trembled in fear when they heard this. Even the Vice Island Master of the Middle Island of Heaven Stage Island had turned into a retard. Then this mental cultivation method was really useless. Those who originally had the thought of giving it a try had now dispelled their interest. Although everyone didn't know what the middle island of the Heaven Step Island was, the name of the Vice Island Master was frightening enough. In that case, Senior Nantion, our mantra has already reached the peak of the heaven rank. There is no further mantra. Then we have no choice but to change the mantra. Although our practitioner's arts are pretty good now, we can't continue anymore. Pinliang spoke up at this time. Not bad, that's a good question. Chancellor Nantion nodded and said, after you come to the Heaven Step Island, you can have a chance to obtain the continuation of the original mantra. Your mantra may be a secret to you, but on the Heaven Step Island, it's not a secret at all, except for some very unpopular ones, such as the Chrysanthemum Treasure Book that some of you have cultivated. The rest can be found. But divine arts, like the Chrysanthemum Treasure Book, should be able to continue to be cultivated. As long as you know the method to break through to the heavenly path, it's fine. I see. Thank you for enlightening me. Senior Nantion. Pinliang nodded. All right. Xinshin, distribute the breakthrough mantra. Chancellor Nantion said, this thing is just a formality. It's a rule for thousands of years, but I suggest you throw it away directly. Otherwise, that would be a mistake. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Yes. Xinshin Ancestor nodded and handed a stack of printed mantra to Kong Ming Ming beside him for him to distribute. Kong Ming Ming distributed the mantra in his hand one by one, and then returned to his original position. Most of the trial takers tore it up without even looking at it. They were also afraid that if they couldn't help but look at it, they wouldn't be able to control themselves from cultivating it. But there were also people who threw it away after looking at it. They couldn't help but be curious. However, basically everyone either tore it up, threw it away, or left it on the table without touching it. Only Lin Yi picked up the mantra with interest and looked at it. Creation Battle Art? Lin Yi glanced at the mantra. It was a very magnificent mantra. What surprised Lin Yi was that the style of the mantra between the lines was actually somewhat similar to the 4th level of the Art of Dragon Mastery, Heaven Snatching, but the content was completely different. So, Lin Yi couldn't help but study it carefully. Some people are so full of themselves. Do they think they're very powerful? I've already said that this mantra is trash, but some people can't help but look at it. Chancellor Nantion saw that Lin Yi actually studied it carefully and was a little annoyed. Was he King ignoring his words? Senior Nantion, please calm down. This Lin Yi is known as the #1 pretentious rogue cultivator. If he wants to look at it, let him. Kong Ming Ming couldn't wait for Lin Yi to die from chi deviation. There's a good saying, if you don't court death, you won't die. He's courting death. What can we do about it? Everyone has their own choice. But since this mantra has been given to you, it's your choice whether to look at it or not. If you're willing to cultivate it, then I won't care so much. Chancellor Nantion nodded and said lightly, I think it's not bad. Lin Yi took out his phone and flipped to the 4th level of the Art of Dragon Mastery, Heaven Snatching, and began to compare it. Because the 4th level stated that it could only be used when breaking through the heavenly Tao, Lin Yi didn't dare to fix it. The lesson of chi deviation last time was not enough. Lin Yi's memory was better. After reading the Art of Dragon Mastery, he continued to study the Creation Battle Art. He also locked his phone and put it on the table. Chapter 3541. And so, while Lin Yi wasn't paying attention, Pinliang grabbed Lin Yi's phone with a whoosh. Lin Yi was taken aback. He didn't think that someone would dare take his phone in this situation. However, he wanted to snatch it, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. He wanted to keep a low profile. If he caused trouble at the heavenly rank meeting, he would probably fall into Patriarch Xuanzhen's trap. He might even be kicked out of the heavenly rank meeting. The phone was locked anyway, and Pinliang wouldn't be able to get in. As expected, Pinliang was a little disappointed when he saw the password. He glanced at Lin Yi's phone's background and couldn't help but feel envious of Lin Yi. It was a photo of Lin Yi, the inheritors, Bingtang, Sydney, Tian Chan, Xinyan, Han Jingjing, and the others. The location seemed to be in a small village. Who was this old man? Fuck. Pinliang saw the old man standing with Lin Yi in the photo and shivered, almost throwing Lin Yi's phone away. Fuck. Wasn't this the Killer Kong duo? Pinliang's eyes widened as he confirmed it a few times. It was definitely one of the Killer Kong duo. Why was he taking a photo with Lin Yi? Pinliang remembered something abruptly. These were the Killer Diamond duo, and he'd heard that their name was Lin Dongfang and Lin Yi. Holy shit. It couldn't be, right? Pinliang felt the urge to cry. Was he playing with him? He was going against the descendant of the Killer Kong duo? This was practically courting death. He remembered that Lin Dongfang said he'd introduce him to a junior as a follower. Wasn't that junior Lin Yi? Pinliang's fear of Lin Dongfang was ingrained in his bones. His mind went blank in that instant. He'd forgotten what he was doing. The scene of the Mad Dragon ancestor getting killed by Lin Dongfang in his last life. It was still fresh in his mind. Lin Yi looked at Pinliang in the dark, but he looked like he was struck by lightning. He stared at his phone blankly, wondering if he'd seen Meng Yao's photo. Are you filled with emotions? All right, everyone has finished reading this mantra, right? Then let's proceed to the next step. Chancellor Nan Tian said lightly. Yes, senior. Let's talk about the next part. Kong Mingming nodded. The next segment is the opening of the Heavenly Island. The opening of the Heavenly Island was a very difficult task, so the inheritor and the founder needed to work together. All inheritors must have the spirit of giving and sacrificing themselves. They must do their best to help the person who opened the passageway to resist the pressure of true qi that came from the opening of the passageway to Heaven Stage Island. If the inheritor was lazy, then the person who opened it will face unprecedented danger, and all the previous efforts will be in vain. The Heavenly Step Island plan will fail. Chancellor Nan Tian said. Everyone was in an uproar. They didn't expect this plan to be so difficult. Lin Yi frowned. Although he had expected that the inheritor might be in danger when opening the Heavenly Island, he didn't expect that the inheritor would actually play the role of a bodyguard. Wouldn't that be life-threatening? So, in order to ensure the smooth implementation of the plan, in order to make the inheritor willingly sacrifice her life for the person who opened it, we must take a measure. At this point, Chancellor Nan Tian paused for a moment and said, that is, let the person who opened it have intercourse with the 7 inheritors at the same time. I will use a special method to set up a heart-linking lock array. One will prosper, one will perish, one will perish. If there's something wrong with the person who opened it, then all the inheritors will die. On the other hand, if there's something wrong with the inheritor, it won't affect the person who opened it. This is also the reason why the inheritor can maintain her virginity. Once the inheritor loses her virginity because of the person she loves, then this heart-linking lock array will be ineffective. They will only prosper with the person they love, and will not have anything to do with the person who opened it. And the virgin intercourse is the key step of the heart-linking lock array. I don't agree. Lin Yi didn't expect that the inheritor would maintain her virginity for this reason. He was a little angry. Previously, he thought there was something to say, but he didn't expect it to be such a dirty reason. These inheritors were all people closest to him, so how could he possibly agree to this suggestion? Kong Mingming and Patriarch Xianchen looked at each other and saw the sneer in each other's eyes. They knew that Lin Yi was going to jump out. Haha, not only did he offend Chancellor Nan Tian, he also offended all the cultivators. Let's see if he can still die. Lin Yi, are you going to destroy the entire inheritance plan for your own selfish desires? Patriarch Xianchen said coldly. You mean that if you don't agree, then Heaven Stage Island won't open? And we don't have to go to Heaven Stage Island. Then, Chancellor Nan Tian came for nothing? Patriarch Xianchen was very sinister. His words directly pushed Lin Yi to the opposite side of all the participating cultivators and Chancellor Nantion. Moreover, Lin Yi couldn't refute him. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, the cultivators all glared at Lin Yi. Although everyone was afraid of Lin Yi and didn't dare to say anything, if someone were to make a rallying cry, these people would definitely gang up on him. That's right, Lin Yi. Don't be so stingy. I'm just using them. At most, I'll return them to you after Heaven Stage Island opens. Taganlong looked at Lin Yi with a smirk. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Previously, he had always been angry at Lin Yi. Now, he finally had the chance to counterattack. Sleeping with Lin Yi's women was a very satisfying thing, especially since Lin Yi had not lost his virginity to them. Wasn't that equivalent to him being the first? Second-hand was already very satisfying, let alone first-hand. Taganlong kept imagining the wonderful scene of pushing down so many inheritors in his heart. He's the one who opened it? Lin Yi glanced at Taganlong and asked faintly, why can he be the one who opened it? What's so special about him? So others can't open it? Don't say so much useless stuff. He naturally has something special about him to be able to open it. Kong Mingming interrupted. Do you think anyone can open it? If that's the case, there's no need for Sun Jingyi to treat him back then. Him? What's special about him? Lin Yi asked. Tell me, maybe I can open it too. Chapter 3542. Oh, is that so? You're no longer needed here. Lin Yi glanced at Taganlong indifferently, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Without warning, he suddenly attacked. Frenzied Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, 15th form. This was the second strongest move that Lin Yi could use now. After continuous breakthroughs, Lin Yi could already use the 15th and 16th forms of the Frenzied Fire 8 Trigrams Palm. However, the 15th form, with the bonus of the Essence Necklace's attack level, could instantly kill a peak late-stage Heaven Rank Perfection expert. Of course, the premise was that the expert was unprepared. Otherwise, even if it was the 16th form with the bonus, it would be difficult to say that it could instantly kill the opponent when the opponent was fully prepared. Boom! Taganlong screamed as his entire body flew out, smashing a big hole in the wall of the inn. He flew directly out of the inn. You actually killed Taganlong? Patriarch Xinshan suddenly stood up, looking at Lin Yi with some shock and disbelief. He never thought that Lin Yi would kill Taganlong. One had to know that Taganlong was the pioneer of Heaven Island. Without him, no one would be able to go to Heaven Island. Judging from Lin Yi's previous situation, Lin Yi seemed to be very cooperative with the people who planned to open Heaven Island. So why did he suddenly go berserk and kill someone? Didn't that mean that their cooperation was in vain? Kong Mingming and Chancellor Nantion also looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. They never thought that Lin Yi could do such a thing. The power of the move that Lin Yi activated just now had already exceeded the strength of an ordinary peak late-stage Heaven Rank Perfection expert. Taganlong did not even need to check to know that he was definitely dead. Even if he wanted to save him, it was impossible. Patriarch Xinshan was a little dumbfounded. All the trial takers present were at a loss as to what to do. That's it? We can't go to Heaven Island anymore? The pioneer is already dead? Go. Everyone go together. Kill Lin Yi. Get rid of this saboteur. Although Kong Mingming was a little regretful that he couldn't go to Heaven Step Island, the problem now was that since he couldn't go, then he would maximize the benefits and let these people get rid of Lin Yi together. Of course, Kong Xiaoming yelled, and everyone was pissed off. Lin Yi knew that Tagan Dragon was the initiator, and that he was so important, but he still killed him. He didn't respect the Sky Class Islands plan and the inheritors at all. However, Lin Yi's strength was still there. Who didn't know that the bird that pokes its head out would be shot? These cultivators were able to reach the level of Heaven Stage Great Circle, which one of them was a coward. Their current goal was to ascend to the Heavenly Tao, not to fight to the death with others. And so, while Kong Mingming's words struck a chord in everyone's hearts, no one dared to make the first move. All of them turned to Pinliang and Naipeo. After all, Pinliang and Zhang Naipeo were from the everyday sect, and other than the Shinshin elder, they were the strongest people here. Only if they made a move would the others be able to gang up on them. Naipeo, of course, looked at Pinliang. If Pinliang didn't speak, he wouldn't speak either. At this time, Kong Mingming also looked at Pinliang. Pinliang had promised at the entrance of the inn that if Lin Yi dared to stop the Heaven Step Island plan, Pinliang would definitely stand against Lin Yi. Why are you all looking at me? Pinliang was just in shock and immersed in endless painful memories. He didn't know what was happening in front of him at all. Kong Mingming was a little speechless. What were you doing just now, bro? Playing with your phone? Why are you still playing with your phone at a time like this? But he was still hoping that Pinliang would call for everyone to attack together, so he could only explain patiently Lin Yi didn't want his woman to have a relationship with the founder of Heaven Step Island, Tagonlong. So he killed Tagonlong. Oh, good kill, Pinliang said immediately. What? Kong Mingming's eyes widened. He looked at Pinliang in disbelief, thinking that he had heard wrong. Madragon Master, what the hell are you doing? The Shinshin elder frowned and glared at Pinliang. That wasn't what he said before. They agreed to kill Lin Yi together. Why did he go back on his words? Screw your head, Pinliang raged. So what if I said it was good kill? If he's not dead, I'll help him. Motherf asterisk Kerr, if he dares to touch Boss Lin Yi's woman, I'll be the first to kill him. Right, pal? Right. Naipeo paused, but he listened to Pinliang. He was a little confused, but whatever Pinliang said was right. If Pinliang suddenly called Lin Yi his boss, then Lin Yi would naturally be his boss as well. I'll use wasp absorption arts to suck him to death. Oh? Kong Mingming looked at the two in front of him, dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? Do you think Boss Lin Yi did the right thing? Pinliang pointed at Lawless Fist not far from him. Yes. Lawless Fist nodded. What about you? You think it's good to kill him? Pinliang pointed at another foreigner. Good, very good. The foreigner quickly said, And what about you? Pretty girl? Pinliang looked at Song Lingrui and asked. He felt that this girl looked familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before. I'll go help too. Song Lingrui nodded. Shinshin, Kong Mingming, there's no problem, right? Look, everyone agrees with Boss Lin Yi killing Tagon Dragon. Pinliang shrugged and said with a smile, The Shinshin ancestor was fuming. This was a sign of everyone rebelling. He turned to Chancellor Nantian. Chancellor Nantian, what do you think? Rebellion? This is rebellion. But I don't care. If you don't want to go to Skyclass Island, then I'll go back. The practitioners of the common world are really lowly. What the hell? Chancellor Nantian shook his head. Lin Yi, what are you trying to do? Don't you know how important Tagon Dragon is? The Shinshin ancestor was furious. Although there was still a backup like Tian Chan had 4 solid and 1 void attributes. Although she could barely be replaced, the most important thing was that she was a girl. This was also the flaw of the hidden child that the Shinshin ancestor was worried about. Tian Chan was not related to those inheritors, and those inheritors might not go all out. Even if Tian Chan had a good relationship with Lin Yi, she was not Lin Yi, and the inheritors might not risk their lives to protect her. Chapter 3543. I know, but it's not irreplaceable. Can't someone else do it? Lin Yi said faintly. You mean Tian Chan? Tian Chan is a woman and can't use the heart-linking lock formation. How can you guarantee that the inheritors will do their best to protect Tian Chan? Since he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi, and these people, led by Zhong Pingliang, had inexplicably rebelled, he could only take a step back and calmly discuss with Lin Yi. Otherwise, no one would be able to go to Heaven Island. However, the Shinshin Patriarch clearly had a better one. Why did he use the second best one? Previously, Tagonlong was crippled, and he had no choice but to settle for the second best. But now, Tagonlong was fine, but he was killed by Lin Yi. Tian Chan isn't the only 5-element cultivator. In fact, I'm one too. Lin Yi said faintly and began to chant. He compressed a ball of true chi in his hand, but didn't release it. Instead, he switched between the 7 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, mist, and ice. What? The Shinshin patriarch couldn't help but widen his eyes. He didn't expect that Linny was also a 5-element cultivator. Not only that, but he had 7 elements. He was even more powerful than Taganlong's 5-element and 5-element cultivators. When the other inheritors saw that Lin Yi was also a 5-element cultivator, they gave up and didn't dare to go against Lin Yi anymore. Anyway, Lin Yi could be the initiator to open Heaven Island. They didn't care about Taganlong's life or death. In their eyes, it was all the same as long as they could reach Heaven Island. Okay, the Shinshin patriarch was a little helpless. Although he didn't want to let it go just like that, he thought about it. Taganlong only played this role, and Lin Yi was the initiator. Those inheritors were all his girlfriends. How could they protect him wholeheartedly? In this way, the chances of opening Heaven Island were greater. It was almost 100%. This was because if the inheritor gave his all and sacrificed himself for the sake of others, the heavenly island wouldn't have failed. Those who failed were those who did not use their full strength. No wonder he's so arrogant. It turns out that he has some capital. Chancellor Nantian looked at Lin Yi and mocked faintly. But on Sky Class Island, all that elemental stuff is useless. Right now, you can only be regarded as laying the foundation for the chi refining stage. The real highlight is the foundation building stage. Only those who succeeded in building their foundation could be called elites in the Tao of Heaven and step on the path of immortal cultivation. Although you're all cultivators now, you're still mortals. Linny smiled and didn't say anything. Foundation establishment. Linny, are you willing to be the one to activate it? Asked Patriarch Black Earth. Sure. Linny nodded. All right, if that's the case, then it's settled. Chancellor Nantian, please continue the topic of the meeting. Patriarch Shinshin said. All right. When the heavenly island was opened, I'll guide you personally. When I say charge, everyone will charge towards the entrance. If you're too slow, don't blame me if you can't get through. Chancellor Nantian paused for a moment before continuing. There's one last important thing. That is, when you go to the Heaven Stage Island, it's best to let your friends and family send you off. If you want to come back after going to the Heaven Stage Island, could it be that I can't return to the secular world after going there? Linny was slightly shocked and asked. You can definitely come back this time. How can you not come back? Only a retarded itinerant cultivator like you would ask such a retarded question. Chancellor Nantian mocked and said, however, with my strength, I can only make my primordial spirit clone come back under the effect of a secret technique. If I want my main body to come back, my strength isn't enough. Everyone came to a realization. It wasn't that they couldn't come back, but that those who weren't almighty couldn't come back. And those who could come back probably didn't have any friends or family left in the secular world. There was no reason for them to come back. Then, Master Zhang Liju, can he come back? Linny asked after some thought. Of course. What kind of power is Master Zhang Liju? Of course he can come back. Ignorant. Chancellor Nantian humphed. Linny nodded and breathed a sigh of relief. The cauldron in the tomb was most likely taken away by Zhang Liju when he remembered it. All right, I've said what I need to say. Everyone prepare yourself, tell your friends and family to send you off. Tomorrow night, the Heaven Stage Island will officially open. Yes, everyone was shivering after hearing this, but they were also filled with excitement. After all, the path to the heavenly Tao was right in front of them. The crowd dispersed, and Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, and Xinyan went back to their rooms. Chancellor Nantian went to continue his lecture with the heirs. Linny sighed and decided to let Lingshan, Sun Jingyi, Shirhan, Qing Yi, Ziyu, and Tianqi send them off. Wu Chuntian, Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, and the other henchmen would come to send Lin Yi off as well. The heirs all came back and gathered in Lin Yi's room. Meng Yao called Peng Zhan and Yi Weiner, telling them that they would be leaving tomorrow, but with a master like Lin Yi protecting them, it should be fine. Yu Shu called Qin Yutian. As for the hidden house Yu, she automatically ignored them. Tang Yun, on the other hand, called her parents, and so did Xiao Xiao. Her mom, Xiao Susu, had woken up and the poison in her body had been absorbed by Xiao Xiao as well. Xiao Xiao didn't have anything to worry about anymore. Yuning, on the other hand, called Yu Bing and House Yu, mentioning Shu's matter. Guan Xian, on the other hand, called Guan Shuamin and Boss Bai. Little Jiu, on the other hand, called Yang Chi-Chi. Everything had been arranged properly, and everyone went to rest early. Tomorrow was an important day. Lin Yi, on the other hand, couldn't fall asleep for a long time. Xin Yan and Han Jingjing lay beside him. Tonight, Lin Yi wanted to test out that creation's art of Heaven's Path Foundation's chant. Although Chancellor Nantian had previously mentioned that there was a vice island lord called Tian Xing who cultivated the creation battle art on the heavenly stage island. However, due to the incomplete mantra, he ended up going berserk. But just from the fact that he was able to become the vice island master after practicing the fortune-type battle arts, one could tell that the strength of the fortune-type battle arts was quite strong. However, it was likely that it would be lacking in strength in the future. When it reached a higher realm, the flaws would become greater and greater, and Tian Xing had unfortunately gone mad. Chapter 35-44. At the very least, when the will of heaven became the vice island master, he couldn't have just started cultivating, right? He must have cultivated for a long time and possessed great strength. Therefore, in this case, only the will of heaven had cultivated this mantra for so long. The others couldn't even cultivate this. And Lin Yi wanted to give it a try. Of course, Lin Yi didn't want to force it like the will of heaven, but he wanted to combine the creation battle art and the fourth stage mantra of the art of dragon mastery into one. The fourth stage of the art of dragon mastery was a mantra to assist in breaking through the heavenly Tao. If the two were combined, with the art of dragon mastery as the main and the creation battle art as the supplementary, and the omnipotent mantra obtained from the third stone door as the thread to form a new mantra, wouldn't it be a complete mantra? With the previous experience of combining martial arts, Lin Yi didn't think there was anything wrong with the martial arts he combined. It could be upgraded along the way, and its power was limitless. Therefore, it seemed that there shouldn't be any problems with the combined mantra. Therefore, Lin Yi did what he thought. After entering the space of the jade pendant, he began to use the omnipotent mantra to recombine the two mantra. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi began to try the omnipotent mantra, then began to chant the fourth stage of the art of dragon mastery, seizing the heavens, and the creation battle art that Chancellor Nantian gave him. These two mantra kept alternating in Lin Yi's mind, interspersed with the mantra of the omnipotent mantra, and from the beginning, Lin Yi recited it. It turned into the contents of the two mantra, automatically circling around in Lin Yi's mind. Then, the order of the mantra began to get messy, and the two mantras slowly recombined, merging into a complete new mantra. Although Lin Yi already knew that these things from the Xianyuan cave abode weren't ordinary, he was still shocked at this time. This was the rhythm of being able to create his own mantra, and this newly fused mental cultivation method mnemonic formula. It was as if it had been imprinted in Lin Yi's mind, making Lin Yi unable to forget it even if he wanted to. What surprised Lin Yi the most was that this newly fused practitioner's chant could be used as two parts of the practitioner's chant. This was quite a rare thing. If one were to cultivate it properly, the art of dragon mastery would be the main force, and the creation battle art would be the support. The reverse way of cultivating was to use the art of dragon mastery as a supplement, with the art of dragon mastery as a guide. However, Lin Yi was definitely going to cultivate. After all, his foundation was the art of dragon mastery, and the art of dragon mastery was a heaven-defying mantra. Lin Yi naturally couldn't put the cart before the horse and give up his original advantage. Lin Yi named this brand new mantra Heaven's Fortune Battle Art before he calmed his excitement and joy. He began to cultivate in the space of the jade pendant. It was better to break through the way of heaven as soon as possible. No matter how good the mantra was, it would only be effective after cultivation. Since he already had a way to break through the way of heaven and become a foundation establishment expert, Lin Yi was determined not to waste time. The heavenly island was full of unknown dangers. Therefore, It was better for Lin Yi to improve his strength as soon as possible. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi slowly calmed his mind and concentrated, and began to circulate this brand new mantra. All the qi in his body began to move, and it flowed along Lin Yi's meridians. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt as if his body and meridians were about to explode. This mantra didn't seem to be something that Lin Yi could control with his current strength. This kind of pain made even a heaven stage great perfection expert like Lin Yi feel a little unbearable. Lin Yi thought that his endurance was strong enough, but at this moment, he couldn't help but feel like he was about to die. However, the process of cultivation was an extremely long process. Even if it was incomparably painful, Lin Yi could only continue. He didn't think that there would be any problems with this mantra. After all, it was converted from the omnipotent mantra. It was just that the process was too torturous. This kind of pain lasted for a full hour. At this moment, Lin Yi was in so much pain that he was sweating profusely. Finally, the pain gradually weakened. Just when Lin Yi thought that he had adapted to this brand new mantra and could breathe a sigh of relief, his body suddenly shook violently. Chapter 35:45. His entire person seemed to have changed. The Lin Yi at this moment felt like he was on a completely different level from before. It was as if he was looking down on all the other mountains, as if he was already standing on the peak in some sense. Was this the heavenly Tao? Was this foundation establishment? Lin Yi felt that even if he faced a heaven-rank great perfection expert, he could still easily kill him. There was no need for the sneak attacks and instant kills from before. This was the difference in absolute strength. Phew! Lin Yi heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly continued to circulate the mantra to consolidate his strength. Lin Yi discovered that ever since Wang Xinyan advanced to the sky rank, she had been giving him a lot of benefits. The energy provided had become even stronger. The night passed uneventfully. Lin Yi didn't tell anyone that he had stepped into the heavenly Tao. Lin Yi didn't want to publicize this because he would become the target of public criticism. The next morning, Lin Yi was talking with the girls when Zhong Pingliang came looking for him. Pingliang had supported Lin Yi yesterday, and while Lin Yi was surprised, he thought that Pingliang was doing this because he'd helped Naipeo. His attitude wasn't too good either, though. After all, Pingliang had already returned the favor, so they were still enemies. Zhong Pingliang, what are you doing here? Lin Yi asked faintly. Boss Lin Yi, I'm just showing my loyalty to you, aren't I? I admire you a lot. Pow, call him boss. Pingliang said. Boss Lin Yi, please accept this little brother's bow. Naipeo, on the other hand, was completely convinced by Lin Yi. If Pingliang asked him to call Lin Yi his boss, he'd do it, but he wouldn't do it willingly. However, Lin Yi had helped Naipeo before, and Naipeo was grateful for that. Now that Pingliang was asking him to do this, it made perfect sense. Plus, Naipeo knew the reason. Therefore, he was not surprised. What are you two doing? Is there something wrong with him? Lin Yi looked at Pingliang curiously. Oh, Yangzi, you've thought it through? Was he finally going to be Shield Bro's lackey? I told you a long time ago that you wanted to be Shield Bro's follower. Look, you've finally become one. Yu Shu said proudly. Not bad, Sister Shu. Please take care of me in the future. Pingliang had lost all will to resist ever since he knew who Lin Yi was. Zhong Pingliang, are you serious? Lin Yi realized that Zhong Pingliang didn't seem to be joking. Of course not. I'm sincere. Furthermore, I promised Hero Lin of the Twin Vajra that I would be his junior's follower. Young Master Lin is Master Lin's descendant, so of course I have to call you boss. Pingliang explained. Vajra double killer Lin? Who are you talking about? Lin Yi was baffled. Lin Dongfang, Master Lin. Pingliang paused. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't know about Lin Dongfang's past? But now that he thought about it, it was possible. Who would dare go against Lin Yi after all? That would be suicide. Lin Dongfang? Old man? My grandpa? Lin Yi was surprised. Yes. Pingliang was sure that Lin Yi didn't know. Then do you know the other Vajra double killer Yang? Master Yang? Who? My Master Yang Ming? Lin Yi paused. Master Yang is Boss Lin Yi's master. No wonder Boss Lin Yi is so powerful. Pin Liang was shocked. He was shocked enough that Lin Dongfang was Lin Yi's master, but Yang Ming was Lin Yi's master? This background was enough to kill everyone. At this moment, Pin Liang decided that he would follow Lin Yi for the rest of his life. As far as he was concerned, Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming were so powerful back then, so their inheritors shouldn't be too shabby. Sky-class Island was full of unknown dangers, and he couldn't do it without a backer. So Pin Liang felt that following Lin Yi would be good. So, they are the Vajra double killer Yang. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He had heard about how powerful the Vajra double killer Yang were, but he didn't expect them to be the two closest to him. That was it. His master had left with those Sky-class masters. But where did they go? Sky-class Island? Or was there another place? It wasn't hard for Lin Yi to understand why Pin Liang was behaving like this. Pin Liang's original body, the Mad Dragon Master, was killed by Lin Dongfang all those years ago. It made sense for him to be afraid of Lin Dongfang. As for why Pin Liang knew about this, it was probably because he saw the background photo on his phone yesterday. However, Lin Yi wasn't very confident in Pin Liang, but it was good to have such a follower on Sky-class Island. So he said, "If that's the case, then follow me from now on. However, I also want to test you. If you're useless, why would I take you in?" Okay. Pin Liang nodded quickly and said, "I'll definitely be useful. Even if I'm useless, I can still be a spy." "Well, let's see your performance then." Lin Yi nodded. Pin Liang said goodbye, and Lin Yi and the others rested for a while. Wu Qintian and the others also took a few cars to the inn, and the other participants and inheritors' friends also gradually came to see everyone off. Around 6:00 that night, the Xinshan ancestor was below the inn and shouted, "All participants and inheritors, please pay attention. Five Elements Sect is now making an important announcement. Sky-class Island will open tonight at 11:15. All participants and inheritors, please gather at the inn square immediately and head to Sky-class Island." This moment was finally coming. Lin Yi was very excited. He brought the girls downstairs, and the other participants also went downstairs one by one and came to the empty square behind the inn. In the square, there were also the relatives and friends of the participants and inheritors, and the Xinshan ancestor had found a full 5 buses from somewhere. Kang Ming and Tian Chan were organizing the participants and inheritors, as well as their relatives and friends to get on the buses one by one. This feeling was like going to a certain place for a vacation, but in fact, it wasn't. As for the cars and luggage of the trial takers and inheritors, they would be taken away by the relatives and friends of the trial takers and inheritors when they returned. The Xuanzhen ancestor of the 5 Elements sect also came. The Xinshan ancestor didn't go to Sky-class Island, but chose to stay in the 5 Elements sect. The 5 Elements sect in the mortal world also needed someone to oversee it. Chapter 3546. When Lin Yi went back, he also suggested that Boss Bai should increase his strength, but Boss Bai refused. His next step was to wait for Bai Wei Tuo, and he may wed to give him a great-grandson and enjoy the happiness of a family at home. He didn't want to get involved in the disputes between sects. Naturally, Lin Yi would take care of this. As long as Elder Xinshan wasn't in charge of the 5 Elements sect, he would be at ease. The 5 cars started slowly and headed towards the place where the island would appear. It was the west side of the 5 Elements sect, in the direction of the Endless West Sea. The Endless West Sea wasn't far from the 5 Elements sect. After about an hour's drive, everyone arrived at the shore of the Endless West Sea. Everyone got off the car, and Elder Xinshan and Chancellor Nantian called Yu Ning and Yu Shu to the side. According to what they said before, they roughly confirmed the location and specific time of the island's appearance. As for the others, it was time for them to bid farewell to their family and friends. Lin Yi and his followers sat in a bus. The entire bus was filled with Lin Yi's people, and there were still a lot of people standing. When they came, they took 2 buses. "Boss, I brought Skybolt Pig too. You drive it to the island. Do you want to bring it along?" Wu Qintian said. He followed Lin Yi's orders and brought everything that could be brought from Lin Yi's villa. He also prepared some daily necessities like a phone, a computer, a solar charger, and so on. God knew what was on the island. Okay. Lin Yi casually put those things into the jade space. Skybolt Pig, on the other hand, made things difficult for him. How was he going to bring this little guy over? One had to know that when going to the island, although the inheritor and the originator had to work together to open a path, practitioners who were too weak couldn't go through. The same was true for spirit beasts. Any practitioner below the peak of sky class couldn't go through the path. They definitely couldn't pass through the passageway. Even with the inheritor, the opener, and Naipeo working together to defend against the aura, the leftover power was still quite strong. Thus, those who were too weak would be directly crushed to death by the pressure. Even if they were at the peak of the late stage of the heaven rank, if they hadn't reached the great perfection of the heaven rank, they would still be suffocated by the pressure. Only great perfection heaven rank powerhouses could safely pass through. To be honest, Linny went to Heaven Island. He wanted to bring the Skybolt Pig along, but how to bring it along was a rather complicated problem. Idiot Lin Yi, can't you put the Skybolt Pig into the space of the jade pendant you refined? Suddenly, Zhao Yazi's voice sounded in Lin Yi's ears. The space within the jade pendant? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback. I thought the space within the jade pendant couldn't contain living things? How can Skybolt Pig enter? That was before, not now. Elder Zhao said, you can put the Skybolt Pig into the space in the jade pendant you refined. There won't be a problem. I won't die. Oh? Then can Tang Yun and I enter as well? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback as he asked. You can't for the time being. Humans can only use their primordial spirits to enter. Zhao Lao said. Perhaps this function can be realized. Next time? Isn't the stone door the end of it? There's nothing left. I don't have the refining method either. Lin Yi was a little puzzled. When you enter the heaven rank island through the passage to the mortal world, that pressure is something that my avatar can't withstand. At that time, I might not be able to wake up from my long slumber. Also, on the heaven rank island, I might not be able to contact my main body. Even if I don't sleep, I won't be able to connect with my main body. I won't be able to function normally. Zhao Lao said. I see. Lin Yi suddenly felt a little sad. He had been accompanied by Zhao Lao this whole time. Was Zhao Lao about to leave? All right, Elder Zhao said. There's a limit to how much help I can provide. I won't be able to keep doing this forever. When I go into hibernation, or when I lose contact with my true self, I'll send the mnemonic chant and some other things I know into your mind. Once you've reached a certain level of strength, the memories will automatically be unsealed and appear in your mind. All right. Lin Yi nodded and said firmly, Boss Lin Yi, are you going to bring it or not? Chuntian saw that Lin Yi was silent and was confused. He didn't know that Lin Yi was talking to Zhao Yazi in the space of the jade pendant. Bring it, Lin Yi said and picked up Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig disappeared into the space of the jade pendant. After entering, Lin Yi took a look and found that Skybolt Pig was still alive. There were no problems, and the little guy seemed to like the space of the jade pendant. The chi here was extremely rich, and Skybolt Pig loved it the most. It danced happily in the space of the jade pendant, and it was in high spirits. Huh, Boss Lin Yi, where did those things in Skybolt Pig go? Chuntian was confused. Oh, I have a storage bag, just like Doraemon's, Lin Yi said. Oh, okay. Chuntian nodded and didn't ask. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi had done too many miraculous things. This was nothing. After chatting with the people present, it was time for Lin Yi to leave. The Xinshan ancestor had already sent out a signal. Inheritors, practitioners, gather quickly. Other than the family and friends who had the Xuanzhen ancestor in charge of maintaining order in the common world, the other inheritors and practitioners all gathered beside the Xinshan ancestor. Yu Ning, Yu Shu, take the main position behind the 8 trigrams. The Xinshan ancestor said, I'm too tired, wait a bit. Yu Shu said lazily, Sky Class Island will only appear at midnight. What's the rush? That's right, I'm so tired, let's all rest first. Meng Yao was naturally on the same side as Yu Shu. Stop bullshitting. You're still throwing a tantrum at a time like this. Hurry up and get ready to open the island seal. The Xinshan ancestor was panicking. This Yu Shu was really hard to deal with. dropping the ball at such a critical moment. You're so fierce, we're not opening it. Humph, Linny honey, hurry up and get us some herbal tea. Our throats are burning. Xiao Xiao jumped out. Yeah, the scenery here is really good. Shield bro, let's camp here. Liangyi, help me hold up the tent, Yushu said with a smile. Chapter 3547. F***CK. I'm begging you guys, after we open the island, you guys can do whatever you want, just don't mess around here, okay? Kong Ming turned his head and dodged. He didn't think that these people would still do something like this when they were on the island. What made him even more curious was why Pinliang was betraying them. He had to find a chance to ask him about it. This wasn't right. Pinliang was supposed to be on his side. He didn't understand. There's no use begging me. Go beg Shield bro. Shu only listens to Shield bro, Yushu said. F***. Kong Ming didn't know what to do. He had just completely fallen out with Linny, and now he had to beg Linny? This made him very depressed, but there was nothing he could do. He sighed and walked to Lin Yi, who was standing there quietly. Linny boss, you are the one who opened the island. Hurry up and give the order. Sky-class island is about to appear. Oh, no rush. Linny took a deep breath and came out of the jade space. While no one was bothering him, he entered the jade space with his soul, planning to see if he could increase Skybolt Pig's strength to Sky-class late phase peak perfection. After all, when he was at Sky rank full cycle, he could only increase the strength of humans and spirit beasts to the peak of late Earth rank. Cultivators could use Chi gathering pills to advance to Sky rank full cycle, but not spirit beasts. The effect of Chi gathering pills for spirit beasts was negligible. Skybolt Pig entered the jade space, but Lin Yi was still worried that something might happen to him. Lin Yi was counting on Skybolt Pig to reunite with Zhongli Ju. Otherwise, who would know who you were? You couldn't just say whatever you wanted. The notes of the refiner could be stolen, but Skybolt Pig couldn't. If Skybolt Pig didn't like you, then he didn't like you. If he complained to Zhongli Ju might just slap you to death. And so, Lin Yi wanted to see if he could increase Skybolt Pig's strength. Of course, Lin Yi didn't plan on increasing Skybolt Pig's strength in front of everyone. Even if the people in the car were all his lackeys, spiritual energy would gather when spirit beasts leveled up. Shinshin Elder and the others were all Sky-class full perfection masters, and they weren't idiots. They couldn't possibly not feel the energy gathering in the car. If they found out that Skybolt Pig leveled up, they would be asking for trouble. Lin Yi didn't want others to know that he was already a Sky-class early phase master. Lin Yi could only increase his lackeys to Earth class when he was at Skybolt Pig. It wasn't a big secret, and anyone could find out about it if they wanted to. But Lin Yi was able to raise the pig's strength with his bare hands right now. It would be weird if there weren't any problems. Previously, Lin Yi had to use Chi gathering pills to help his followers reach perfection, but now he didn't need to. Most practitioners knew that spirit beasts couldn't level up by eating pills. So, Lin Yi decided to secretly test it in the jade space. Skybolt Pig's main body was also in the jade space. Even if he leveled up, there wouldn't be any spiritual energy gathering outside. Lin Yi's soul entered the jade space and went into the space where Skybolt Pig was, and started to level up. After the transformation of the jade space, only Lin Yi's soul could go back and forth. Tang Yun couldn't feel the existence of the other space, and she could only enter the main space. What surprised Lin Yi was that his golden finger was still working, and Skybolt Pig's strength was increased to Sky-class late phase peak full perfection. Especially the new Xinyuan art of Dragon Mastery and the Creation Battle art to form the new art of Dragon Mastery. The speed of improvement was even faster, and within half an hour, Skybolt Pig had become a Sky-class full perfection spirit beast. Boss Lin Yi, let's start, or else it'll be too late. Kong Ming said with a bitter face. Okay, everyone get ready. Lin Yi had to walk over at this time. Heaven Island couldn't be delayed, and Lin Yi had to go, or else he would have to accompany them. Lin Yi walked over, and the inheritors started to get ready. This made Ancestor Shinshin a little helpless. Suddenly, Lin Yi became the leader. In fact, with Lin Yi's current situation, Ancestor Xianxian definitely wouldn't dare to stop his heaven-class full perfection disciples from going to Heaven Island. It was just that most of Lin Yi's disciples were from ordinary families and hidden families. They hadn't set foot on the ancient level, so they didn't have such a pressing pursuit of the heavenly Tao. To them, heaven-class full perfection was already very satisfying. Their thoughts were still in the realm of the secular world, and they were unwilling to leave. Their goal was to revitalize their families. Yuning, Yu Shu, take the main position behind the 8 trigrams. Ancestor Xianxian spoke again. Yu Ning and Yu Shu, on the other hand, obediently stood in the position of the 8 trigrams. Lin, Hero Lin, stand in the center of the 8 trigrams. Ancestor Xianxian continued. Lin Yi nodded and took the center of the 8 trigrams. After him, Meng Yao, Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun, Guan Xian, and Little Nine stood in their respective positions. Zhang Naipeo, on the other hand, stood at the very front of the 8 trigrams, facing the endless West Sea. Because he was in charge of blocking the most ferocious 5 malice demonic qi. Of course, the 5 malice demonic qi might have a huge side effect on a weakling like Tagonlong, but it didn't affect Lin Yi that much. However, the 5 malice qi and the power of the 5 elements and 7 elements were pressing down on Lin Yi at the same time. Most importantly, Lin Yi didn't seem to be able to circulate his practitioner's arts to defend against the pressure. He had to do something. Heirs, prepare yourselves. Chancellor Nan Tian spoke. Heaven-class island is about to appear. Chancellor Nan Tian's words made everyone's heart tighten. Everyone's expression turned solemn. On the originally calm surface of the sea, the heaven and earth spiritual qi began to gather gradually, and the waves began to surge violently. In just an instant, the energy above the sea surface became more and more violent, and the sea turned into raging waves. Yuning, Yu Shu, quickly determined the specific location of Heaven-class Island. Chancellor Nan Tian suddenly spoke loudly. The energy is gathering. Heaven-class Island is about to appear. Chapter 35-48. As soon as their voices fell, everyone turned to look in that direction. As expected, 30 degrees to the northeast, the energy of heaven and earth was the most violent. The wind howled and the waves surged. Although they couldn't see where the island was, it was good to know the direction. All inheritors, please get ready. The 5 elements and 5 malevolent energies will arrive at any time. Although Chancellor Nan Tian hated Lin Yi, he couldn't let him die. If he died, then no one would be able to go to the island, and he wouldn't be able to bring his new follower, the Xianxian ancestor. In the distance, the other challengers furrowed their brows as they watched the scene unfold before them anxiously. The power of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was far too great, far beyond their imaginations. At this moment, it was as if the whole world was shaking because of the appearance of the island. This situation lasted for about half an hour, and the violent heaven and earth spiritual qi seemed to become more and more violent. 30 degrees to the northeast, a white misty area gradually appeared. No one knew what it was, but everyone was very excited. Perhaps this was the legendary Heavenly Island. The island has appeared. All participants, get ready to land on the island. Chancellor Nan Tian shouted. The participants were excited, but they didn't dare to breathe too loudly, nor did they dare to cheer. All of them looked at the scene in front of them nervously, waiting for Chancellor Nan Tian's next order. The ground under their feet began to shake along with the violent energy of heaven and earth, and the waves became more and more turbulent, reaching tens of meters in height. That misty white area tugged at everyone's hearts. Suddenly, that white area on the surface of the sea suddenly shot out colorful rays of light. If one looked closely, they would be able to see colorful rays of light. If one looked closely, it was actually 7 colors, and there was a black glow. This should be the light of the 5 elements and 7 elements, and the black was the 5 malevolent energies. Everyone was very nervous at this moment. They stared at the white area without blinking. Was this the legendary Heavenly Island? The pressure is about to be activated. Inheritors and Zhang Naipeo, please protect the person who activated it. Chancellor Nan Tian shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, an intense and dazzling light shot out from Heaven Stage Island. Everyone's eyes were temporarily blinded. They were all at the great perfection of the heaven rank. Normally, even if they were stimulated by intense light, their vision wouldn't be affected. But this time, their eyes couldn't see anything, and even their perception was blinded. These inheritors were good too. Never had they imagined that in this world, there would be such a dazzling light that they could not see anything at all. However, compared to the others, Lin Yi could sense the situation outside from the space of the jade pendant. However, no one knew when the white area had started to gradually approach the sea. Or rather, they had been very close before. It was just that because of the light and shadow, everyone felt that it was very far away. As the intense light burst forth, the boundless might of the 5 elements and 7 attributes, as well as the might of the 5 evils Qi, was suddenly released and swept towards the coast. Hurry up and circulate the mantra to defend, Chancellor Nan Tian yelled. The pressure had already been fully concentrated on him. The inheritors and Zhang Naipeo didn't dare delay, hurriedly activating their mantras to defend against this torrential pressure. At this moment, there was a suffocating feeling. Zhang Naipeo was absorbing the 5 evils Qi, and he was probably the one who was having the easiest time here. Although he kept on absorbing, he was having an easier time than the other inheritors. The power of the pressure was unbearable, making it hard for them to breathe. However, the inheritors all knew their own mission. If the one in the middle was tagging along, they might not be working so hard, but the one in the middle was Lin Yi, the man they loved deeply, the man they would give up their lives for, and so all the inheritors gritted their teeth and held on. Beads of sweat rolled down from the foreheads of the inheritors. Lin Yi saw it all, and his heart ached, but there was nothing he could do. There was nothing he could do here. He had a mission to fulfill. As the pressure was released, the sky tier island, which had been faintly discernible, gradually became clearer. Through the multicolored light, a huge white island appeared before everyone's eyes. It was as if the island was so far away, yet so close at the same time. However, this island seemed to have appeared out of thin air, because when they arrived, there was nothing on the calm surface of the sea. Fourth dimensional space? Zhao Lao's voice rang in Lin Yi's ears. Sky-Great Island is hidden in a fourth dimensional space. Fourth dimensional space? Lin Yi paused. That's right, it's similar to the Jade Space. Sky-Great Island is a fourth dimensional space hidden in the endless West Sea. No wonder with our current technology, we can't find this island the size of a small country. Zhao Lao said. I see. Lin Yi understood. The Jade Space couldn't be found by normal people, right? But, in this case, not everyone could enter and exit Sky-Great Island. No wonder they had to use an array to open the seal. Pioneer, pay attention. Your mission is coming. Just as Lin Yi and Zhao Lao were sighing, Chancellor Nan Tian's voice rang out, Get ready. When the light beam channel opens, step onto the light beam channel and open Sky-Great Island. Light beam channel? Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but in the next moment, he saw a light beam shoot into the middle of the 8 trigrams array, where Lin Yi was standing. Quickly enter the light beam and open the seal. Chancellor Nan Tian shouted. Lin Yi was slightly stunned. He was surprised to find that the light beam was actually a physical object, which meant that he could walk on the light beam. Thinking of this, Lin Yi didn't dare to delay. He quickly stepped onto the light beam and walked forward. However, the pressure around him made it difficult for Lin Yi to balance. However, he didn't dare to divert his attention to resist the pressure, because the light beam was in the shape of a cylinder, and the surface was extremely smooth. If Lin Yi was distracted, he would fall. Inheritor, hurry up and circulate the mantra. Otherwise, Lin Yi will be in great danger. The pressure above will concentrate on him and turn him into pieces. Patriarch Xinshan roared. He said this to threaten the inheritor to do their best. Chapter 3549. Lin Yi followed the light pillar and carefully climbed to the top. At the top, Lin Yi saw something that looked like a rotating five-pointed star. It was this thing that was constantly emitting five-colored light. Initiator, place your hands on it and chant the mantra, Chancellor Nan Tian said loudly. Lin Yi followed the instructions and placed his hands on the rotating five-pointed star. Only then did he realize that the five-pointed star wasn't in a physical state, but an illusion. However, regardless of what it was, Lin Yi quickly began to chant the mantra. When Lin Yi began to chant the mantra, there seemed to be some kind of force pushing Heaven Level Island. Heaven Level Island, which was originally half submerged in the sea, suddenly rose from the sea and became bigger and bigger. Finally, at the edge of the coastline, a passageway array formation suddenly appeared. It was just like the array formation that led everyone to the Five Fiends Wilderness and the Five Fiends Mountain Range. At this moment, Lin Yi finally understood that this passageway was opened by the power of the five elements. Something seemed to be hinting to him that if he stopped chanting the mantra, this passageway would disappear. At this moment, Lin Yi wanted to jump down and quickly rush into the passageway with the inheritors. However, Lin Yi helplessly realized that his hands seemed to be glued to something. He couldn't pull them back at all. This feeling was the same as when he was at the stone door of the cave. It made him unable to extricate himself. Just as he thought of retreating, a voice seemed to be hinting to him that this was his mission. The initiator had to persist until the last moment. Only at the last moment could they enter the passageway of Heaven Level Island. They were burning themselves to help the other cultivators who wanted to enter the island. This was their mission. It turned out that being an initiator wasn't a good job. That silly Tagunlong was still very proud of himself. However, Lin Yi didn't regret it. After all, he had to do this for the sake of the inheritors. Lin Yi could feel the exhaustion of the inheritors. If they didn't give it their all, they wouldn't be able to survive. That coercion would fall on Lin Yi's body, and it was hard to say whether Lin Yi could be killed by the coercion, but the opening of the heavenly island would definitely stop. The passageway has appeared. The trial takers are beginning to ascend the island. Shinshin, follow me first. With that, Chancellor Nan Tian took the lead and charged into the passageway, and Patriarch Shinshin followed closely behind. Immediately after, Kong Ming and the other trial takers also entered the tunnel one by one according to the order they had lined up. They could also see that the inheritor was trembling and probably wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. We need to get to the island as soon as possible. Tian Chan, Songling Rui, Rock Candy, Sydney, Wang Xinyan, Han Jingjing, Xiao Ran, Zhong Pingliang, and the others were very worried about Lin Yi and the inheritors, but they had to enter the passageway according to the order. They could only pray that Lin Yi and the others could enter the passageway successfully in the end. However, when everyone entered the passageway, Guan Xian suddenly couldn't hold on anymore. Her body swayed and she directly fell to the ground. Guan Xian was one of the inheritors, the woman with the weakest foundation. Following closely behind was Little Nine, and behind her, Ming Yao, Yu Shu, Yu Ning, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao also fell to the ground one by one. It seemed that they couldn't hold on anymore and also fainted on the spot. Once they fainted, the coercion on Lin Yi's side suddenly increased, and the huge majestic force directly pressed him down from the light pillar. Lin Yi fell into the sea. This shocked Lin Yi, but he was worried about the inheritors. He wanted to see how Ming Yao and the others were doing, but what shocked Lin Yi was that after he left the light pillar, the passageway of the island actually became more and more illusory, and the entire island began to sink again. The entire heavenly stage island began to sink again. Lin Yi panicked. At this moment, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He knew that after he left, the passageway of the island would disappear. If he quickened his pace, he could go in. But what about Ming Yao and the others? Even if Lin Yi ran over and saved one of them, he couldn't save a second one. After all, the 8 trigrams formation was very big, and each inheritor was very far away from each other. It would be very difficult for Lin Yi to save one and come back. Take care of them for me. Wait for me to come back. Lin Yi yelled to his lackeys and quickly flew into the passageway. He had to go to Sky Class Island. Ming Yao and the others didn't seem to be much of a problem. Lin could at least sense their life force, and so he asked his lackeys to bring them back. Ling Shan, Sun Jingyi, Shi Han, Qing Yi, Ziyu, and the others all rushed over, and this was the last scene Lin Yi saw. Naipeo hesitated for a bit before following, but the path was already starting to flicker. Whether or not he'd be able to reach Sky-class Island was up to luck now. Yao Yao, Shu, Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao, Yuning, Guanxian, Jia. Wait for me to come back. Lin Yi sighed. He thought that they would be his biggest helpers on Sky-class Island, but they fainted all of a sudden. The last scene Lin Yi saw was them fainting around the 8 trigrams formation, and with a flash of white light, the passageway disappeared, and so did Naipeo. Lin Yi and the others all disappeared under the white light. The only thing that made Lin Yi feel at ease was that his lackeys and the women he left behind were all top-level practitioners, Sky-class late-phase peak. They were the strongest in the common world. With them, Lin Yi didn't need to worry about Yao Yao and the others. After entering the passageway, Lin Yi suddenly felt like he'd entered an illusory space, and then his eyes lit up. In front of him was a white light, and Lin Yi was temporarily blinded. Lin Yi subconsciously closed his eyes and entered the jade space, activating his spiritual sense to sense his surroundings. But what disappointed Lin Yi was that there was only white light around him, and there was nothing else. It was like a strange space, and Lin Yi couldn't even see his companions or enemies. His feet, on the other hand, seemed to be floating in midair, unable to step on anything. It was like he was in a weightless state. Since he was already here, Lin Yi knew that there was nothing he could do right now. He could only wait quietly. Chapter 3550. Lin Yi opened his eyes and saw a bare high platform, and standing on the high platform, there was not only Lin Yi, but also Kong Ming, Zhong Pingliang, Dongfang Badeo, Unfathomable Fist, and Xiao Ran. In addition, there were no other participants, only 6 people. Of course, apart from Unfathomable Fist and Xiao Ran, who were not particularly familiar with Lin Yi. Among them, only Kong Ming and Dongfang Badeo had a big grudge against Lin Yi. Zhong Pingliang, Lin Yi's current underling, was considered an ally, but where were the others? Tian Chan? Song Lingrui? Zhang Naipeo? Xinshan Ancestor? Where's the snow pair with rock sugar? Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing? They all disappeared together in the teleportation channel in front of the heavenly island. How did they all disappear? However, the high platform where Lin Yi was now was surrounded by cliffs, and there were no obstacles on it. It was clear at a glance how many people were here, and there was no room to hide. What kind of F***king place is this? This is Heavenly Island? Why is there nothing? Kong Ming came back to his senses and couldn't help but curse. Damn, are we being cheated? Boss Lin Yi, what do you think? Zhong Pingliang was also a little puzzled. Was this Heavenly Island? But there was nothing on this island. How could it be called Heavenly Island? Also, where did Zhang Naipeo go? The chi of heaven and earth here is very abundant, but we are alone here. I don't see any sects or people. This is very strange. Lin Yi had never been to Heavenly Island, so this place made Lin Yi a little puzzled. Before, everyone imagined how beautiful Heavenly Island was, and there were many masters on it, helping everyone to break through the heavenly Tao. But now, not to mention masters, there was only a cliff. There was nothing, so how could they deal with it? He looked into the distance again. The platform was surrounded by white mist. It was impossible to see anything in the distance. The only thing that could be clearly seen was that below the platform was a cliff that was tens of thousands of feet high. Moreover, it was so deep that one couldn't see the bottom of it. Further down, the fog was too thick to see. Dongfang Badeo was one of the most active people. When he came here, he found that it was different from what he imagined, and other people didn't know where to go, and suddenly 3/4 of the people were missing. Who would be happy in such a situation? Could it be that when those people came over, they didn't stand firmly on the high platform and fell directly into the cliff? Thinking of this, everyone broke out in a cold sweat. But after calming down, Lin Yi wasn't as naive as he thought. Linny felt that since this Heaven Stage Island's teleportation array could send all these people over, then it should be able to send them over. Of course, he couldn't let some of them die, right? Then these people might have been teleported over, but they might have been teleported to other similar places. This reminded Lin E of the trial of Heavenly Elixir Sect. Everyone was teleported to the Five Evil Savage Land, and the environment here was a bit like the Five Evil Savage Land. Although there was no Five Evils chi here, this was a kind of intuition. Limitless Fist Master, what do you think? Dongfang Badeo couldn't help but ask. This Limitless Fist Master was the great elder of the Holy Fist Palace. Because of Li Siba, the Holy Fist Palace did not oppose Lin Yi before, but it could not be said that their relationship was very good. I can't see it for the time being. The Limitless Fist Master shook his head. But, since the Heavenly Stage Island is so powerful, I don't think it will harm us. I don't think he will harm us. Let's just wait. Look at young hero Lin. He isn't anxious at all. Humph, we are all on the island, and everyone is equal. Young hero Lin is just a junior. Dongfang Badeo snorted coldly, because before everyone opened the Heaven Stage Island, they also said at the Heaven Stage meeting that everyone's purpose was to successfully reach the Heaven Stage Island. So in the process of opening the Heaven Stage Island, they could not attack each other. Therefore, Dongfang Badeo now did not take the initiative to provoke Lin Yi, and Lin Yi could not kill him, so he was a little unscrupulous. Of course, this agreement might be invalid after everyone went to the island and formed a gang, but at least it was still valid now. Everyone stayed on this high platform for more than half an hour, and they were inevitably a little strange and anxious. What was this idea? Would the Heaven Stage Island be a high platform, and then everyone would die alone on it? There was not even a woman here, and they could not reproduce. Homosexuality could not be passed on to the next generation. Is there anyone? Damn it! Kong Mingming finally waited impatiently and shouted loudly. His voice echoed in the sky, but no one answered him. Boss Lin Yi, it can't be the predecessor of the Heaven Stage Island to test us, right? Zhong Pingliang had the memory of the Mad Dragon Patriarch in his mind, so he still knew about the customs of these ancient people. He thought about it and asked, "Test? I can't rule out this possibility." Linny nodded, but at least there should be some hints? Let's wait and see. Zhong Pingliang nodded, then ran to the side and wandered around, presumably looking for any hints on this high platform. However, after about 10 minutes, suddenly there was a long roar in the sky, which made everyone who was a little anxious suddenly serious, and they looked up at the sky. They saw a flying spirit beast in the distant sky. Although this was only a spirit beast, it also made everyone excited, because at least this meant that there were creatures nearby, and it was not a lonely dead island. At this time, when the flying spirit beast flew closer, everyone became even more excited because there was a person sitting on the back of the flying spirit beast. Although the age and gender of the person couldn't be seen clearly, anyone who could appear here must be a peerless expert. Senior, wait a minute, Kong Mingming shouted. Among them, he was the one who was most anxious to leave. Here. Dongfang Badeo also shouted. He came here to break through the heavenly Tao, not to waste time on this high platform. However, they didn't need to call. The flying spirit beast itself would fly here. They saw the spirit beast flying lower and lower, and the person on the spirit beast could be seen by everyone. This was a man about 30 years old, but it was said to be 30 years old because of his appearance. His actual age was unknown. After all, the masters here were likely to be masters above the heavenly Tao. The heaven stage could already keep their appearance forever, let alone the masters of the heavenly Tao. Chapter 3551. Who is the old, weak, sick, and disabled? Dongfang Badeo's temper was as overbearing as his name. This man said that he was old, weak, sick, and disabled. Naturally, he was not happy. Those who could successfully land on the Heaven Stage Island were the best in the cultivation world. He was feeling good about himself. When the man said that, his face suddenly became ugly. I used to be the master of the Dongfang family, an ancient family. I was a master of the great perfection of the peak late stage of heaven's stage. The man's eyes were fierce. He raised his sleeves, and an invisible strength shot out of his hand. Dongfang Badeo was directly knocked to the ground with a puff. He struggled on the ground for a long time before he got up with a red face, but he dared not make trouble again. What kind of master was the person who could teach him a lesson through the air? Looking at the whole cultivation world, it was the unique existence. Even Lin Yi could not. It's really weak. The man snorted, and then said to Lin Yi and others impatiently, I am the welcoming envoy of the North Island of Heaven's stage. I will take you to the welcoming pavilion of the North Island to report. You newcomers, who will go with me? Senior, I'll go. Dongfang Badeo completely put away his previous arrogance at this time. He could not see the strength of the man in front of him. Obviously, he was of a higher level than him, and he was to guide them to the welcoming pavilion, so he could not make trouble. Old man, what are you yelling for? You have offended the welcoming envoy. Let me go. Kong Mingming said immediately at the moment, because it seemed that only 2 or 3 people could sit on the flying spirit beast. He didn't know if 3 people could sit down, so he must fight for a chance for himself. My spirit beast can only sit 3 people. In that case, you 2 come up first. The man said faintly. We have to go up too. Zhong Pingliang pulled Lin Yi at this time, and then said to Kong Mingming and Dongfang Badeo, Are you going to rob us? Chapter 3552. It seemed that the young man had expected to receive Lin Yi and Xiao Ran. However, his attitude was not as arrogant as the previous 2. Instead, he looked quite approachable. Okay, thank you, senior. Xiao Ran glanced at Lin Yi and boarded the flying spirit beast. Lin Yi followed him. The flying spirit beast slowly took off. Xiao Ran could not help but ask, Senior, how should I address you? The freckled man shook his head and said, All right, don't call me senior. I'm just a bitter guy. Call me senior brother bitter guy. Xiao Ran was stunned. He thought the freckled man was approachable, but he did not expect him to be so easygoing. He even gave himself the nickname Senior Brother Bitter Guy. Both of you are rogue cultivators from the secular world, right? Senior Brother Bitter Guy asked. Sort of. How did you know? This surprised Lin Yi. He knew about Xiao Ran's background. It was okay to say that he was a rogue cultivator. After all, the Xiao family was no longer an ancient aristocratic family. There are 6 people who were teleported to the North Island this time. The first person who came to pick them up was from the Soaring Pavilion. Those 2 must be ruthless figures from the big sects, right? Senior Brother Bitter Guy asked with a smile. Yes, Senior Brother Bitter. How did you know? Xiao Ran was also a little surprised. The second person who came to pick them up was from the mysterious pavilion. Those 2 must be cultivators who look very old, right? Senior Brother Bitter Guy continued to guess. That's right. Lin Yi nodded. Senior Brother Bitter. Why is that? Senior Brother Ku Bai did not explain further, continuing. I am the Clear Cloud Pavilion's guide envoy. Our Clear Cloud Pavilion has the lowest status among the 3 pavilions. Every time we choose a disciple, we are always the last to choose a disciple. Most of the disciples who join us are rogue cultivators with humble origins. Senior Brother, do you mean those people from before? Does that count as joining the Soaring Sky Pavilion and the Mysterious Pavilion? Lin Yi was a bit surprised. He didn't expect the Heaven Step Island to be like this. There was actually a sect here, and it seemed like there were 3 different factions in this sect. This was a bit of a headache. That's right. The Soaring Sky Pavilion was the most popular pavilion on the North Island of the Heaven Steps. Here were some second-generation cultivators and the outstanding descendants of the island's famous families, even if they came from the secular world. They're also the core disciples of big sections. Senior Martial Brother Ku Bai said, They're the people on the North Island of Heaven stage, the ones you can't provoke the most. Next was the Mysterious Pavilion. That mysterious pavilion was filled with old men. Naturally, it couldn't be said that the other pavilions didn't have any old men, but their pavilions had a lot of them. Moreover, they didn't like young people, even those with tender faces who had advanced to the heaven rank early on and retained their youthful appearance, unless they were their own descendants. This group of people took advantage of their seniority. Some of them were the elders of the North Island, although they were not as powerful as the soaring sky pavilion. But he wasn't weak either. And the weakest is our blue cloud pavilion. Well, the grassroots aren't weak either, Linny said with a bitter smile. Heh, there's still a big difference. Senior Marshall Brother Koo shook his head. Our cultivation foundation wasn't as solid as theirs, so when we were both at the peak of the late stage of the heaven stage, there was a gap. There's a difference. Breaking through to the heavenly Tao is equivalent to my current level. We're called foundation establishment experts here, and there's also a difference in strength. Don't look at the name Blue Cloud Pavilion. When it was first named, it meant that those grassroots could rise rapidly here, but, hee. Also, don't mention the term Heavenly Tao anymore. Heavenly Tao is a big category. If you tell others that you're a Heavenly Tao expert, then others will think that you're arrogant. Oh, I can't say it? Linny was slightly stunned. Didn't the secular world say Heavenly Tao? Could it be that there was a higher level above foundation establishment? As for the matters of the three pavilions, Linny didn't care too much about it for the time being. Well, the so-called Heavenly Tao is a general term for an ethereal level. Senior Marshall Brother Koo was not stingy with his words and said everything he knew. Before, we cultivators were divided into internal and external paths. Chi refinement and body refinement were all to improve the strength of the body, while Heavenly Tao is a pursuit that goes against the heavens. You can also understand it as cultivation. Before cultivation, now cultivation. In the secular world before Heavenly Tao, your strength was equivalent to the Chi refinement stage among cultivators. After stepping into Heavenly Tao, you're at the foundation establishment stage, and only then can you be considered to have truly touched the path of cultivation. You're Heavenly Tao, but you're not the strongest? Lin Yi didn't expect that there seemed to be many levels above Heavenly Tao. Of course, I'm only at the early phase of foundation establishment. Above me, there's still the peak of the early phase, the middle phase. Senior Marshall Brother Koo explained. Hearing this, Lin Yi's complacent mood dropped to the bottom. When he was in the secular world, he used the omnipotent arts with the art of dragon mastery and the art of dragon mastery, stealing the heavens, and successfully broke through to Heavenly Tao. It was a brand new level of strength, and Lin Yi thought that he had reached the final stop of a cultivator. As long as he went to Sky Class Island and found the pills St. Zhang Li Ju, he could find a way to wake Xiaoka and Armadillo, and then he could go back. What he didn't expect was that Xiaoka still hadn't woken up, and 7 more inheritors were unconscious. The pressure on Lin Yi's body was like a mountain, but that was okay. He could just ask Zhang Li Ju. What he didn't expect was that his strength was the weakest. It seemed a little different from what Lin Yi had thought when he first came here, looking for Zhang Li Ju in a high-profile manner. Very well, but it looks like our clear cloud pavilion is the most harmonious pavilion. Senior Brother Koo is so amiable, and those 2 envoys who tried to approach earlier are so arrogant. Xiao Ran nodded his head and said, he didn't think that joining Blue Cloud Pavilion was inappropriate. He was a low-profile person, and after coming here, naturally, he had to be more low-profile. He didn't have anyone to rely on, and his strength wasn't that good, either, so he had to be careful. Harmonious? Hee. Senior Marshall Brother Koo laughed weirdly. I won't say much. You'll know when you see it. Isn't it? Linny paused. He thought that this Blue Cloud Pavilion was made up of grassroots, and that it should be a harmonious pavilion. I'm harmonious, but that doesn't mean others are. I was sent here because of Senior Marshall Brother Koo. I'm someone who gets bullied, and that's my personality. Senior Marshall Brother Koo shook his head. Isn't this welcoming good? Those 2 from before, weren't they really strong? Xiao Ran didn't understand. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.